very good morning to all of you. Today, we have gathered here for the day 18 of 4 weeks technology-based entrepreneurship development program that is focused on bioentrepreneurship, sponsored by Department of Science and Technology, Ministry of Science and Technology, Government of India, New Delhi. Today we have 3 speakers for the management inputs. Mr. Venkata Chakrapani sir, Mr. Ashish Prabhat sir, and Mr. M.K. Sateesh sir. Mr. Venkata Chakrapani sir will deliver the keynote talk on legal formalities in an enterprise. So it is our honor to have you, sir, as a keynote speaker. As per the formality, I would like to invite you, sir, to deliver the keynote talk. Let me introduce first Mr. Venkata Chakrapani, sir, also known as a Chakri, and he is the passionate corporate leader of finance, accounting, and tax domain at Global Capacity Centers, who is a lawyer, a certified project management expert, quality-oriented Six Sigma Green Belt champion, focused on operational excellence, and business transformations. A panel speaker on various forums, an avid reader, and occasional content writer. He is based out with the 20+ year of enriched experience in operating, leading, and setting up business operations, strategy and execution, corporate governance, organizational growth, sustainable cost models, organizational and control risk management, and improve performance across multiple domains around the finance, accounting, tax, and legal compliance. He is expert in leading process operational excellence and service delivery, innovative process improvements, data analytics, business commercial finance, stakeholder management, organizational talent strategy, and capacity building. Above and beyond service delivery, he is an enthusiastic supporter and continuous learner on inclusion, diversity, and equality initiative. He is a certified corporate social responsibility professional who has instrumental in defining and executing the sustainable and result-oriented CSR and ESG models. He has gained international business model insights via travel across the various countries like US, Brazil, Mexico, Argentina, Colombia, Australia, Singapore, Spain, Netherlands, Philippines, and many more countries, while setting up world-class finance shared service center in India. So we are very glad, sir. First, I would like to thank you for accepting our invitation to be a keynote speaker at this 4-week technology-based entrepreneurship development program. And we are inviting you to deliver the talks. Over to you.
Thanks, Dr. Gaurav, obliged. For the invite and time being here on this platform. I think I got a chance to attend a couple of sessions. So during the last 2 weeks, just to understand how the program is set up and going on. So thanks for all this opportunity. So Gaurav, and let me start sharing my presentation on the screen.
Yes, sir. You can share, sir.
Let me know when you see it. So Gaurav. So hope am I showing up Gaurav on the screen?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is visible.
Okay, excellent. And so good morning, all the participants, and so welcome all for the session, right? And when I get to know about this session and from Gaurav, I looked at the program scope and I found it to be a wonderful program, because as it literally covered everything that a new entrepreneur required to know about and understand, right? I think so. This is one of those very rare programs I'm seeing. I think I have seen a couple of those programs, but they are not very comprehensive or as much comprehensive as this program curriculum offers. And wholeheartedly appreciate Belgodias University, Institute Innovative Council, that is IIC, and Dr. Gaurav Kumar and Dr. Sumedha Mukherjee, and all the people who invested their time and efforts in setting up this comprehensive 4-week long workshop. So that is literally not an easy task. All right.
That is possible due to your blessings, sir, and consistent support. Without your support and participant, we cannot do anything.
Thank you so much, sir. And so with that, yeah. So when I get to understand this program curriculum and all, so with my natural curiosity, I tried looking at dictionary, right? Try understanding. So what is the meaning of the word enterprise? So we know about it, but sometimes that is always good to refresh our understanding about some basic things. Like, so when I Googled, so what is the meaning of enterprise? So what it showed me is, so an enterprise is a project or undertaking that is especially difficult, complicated, or risky, and readiness to engage in for daring and difficult actions which are required. Certainly, definitely, it is an initiative. And when I check this synonym for entrepreneur, what it said, one who organizes, manages, and assumes the risk of a business or enterprise. And after reading all this, we can definitely understand entrepreneurship is not so easy. And at the same time, we can understand it is neither science nor an art, but this is definitely a practice which needs continuous learning of various aspects. That is what I think Gaurav's teams tried covering in this workshop curriculum as a component. And appreciate all the business owners or to be business owners. I'm precisely not very familiar with all the participants here. So, but assuming that either they're currently business owners or to be business owners, appreciating all of them to be here for choosing this challenging path and helping the nation by building economic activity and employment. That is not very easy to be an entrepreneur, and being an entrepreneur, the contributions you make to the society are enormous. So definitely a lot of nation building is also connected whenever you are trying to build your enterprise and operate it in the country. It should bring in a lot of economic activity and employment. And entrepreneurship is a challenge, but we all know it is a rewarding journey as well, especially in India, where bureaucratic red tapeism, corruption, bribery, nepotism, whatnot, and lack of infrastructures which can hinder the progress. Obtaining licenses, permits, and approvals can be a time-consuming and a frustrating process that can delay business operations. Navigating these obstacles certainly requires patience and all the perseverance in the world to groom up to be an entrepreneur. So with that, let me move on to the next chart. All right. Yeah. So why do we need legal formalities in the organization? That is a basic question. And can anybody help me? So I think there are 20 participants, including me and the faculty. So why do we need legal formalities to be adhered? Anybody can help me with their perspective? Why should we adhere? You can chat.
May I, sir?
Yes, Gaurav.
Sir, actually, I am not belongs to entrepreneurship domain, but I am looking for the Institute Innovation Council and organize several workshops related to entrepreneurship. That's why I have continuously learning the techniques. So the legal formalities is required for the trust, for gaining some grant, and I think the private limited company is the top one legal entity. that that is required for the um, uh, that can attract several type of funding from the government also as well as investor also. So there are several type of legal entity, but private limited is one of the best one. I think so. Yes, sir.
Thanks, Gaurav. So you're dot on the point, right? And so normally, so any legal formalities. So while we are trying to understand what are the legal formalities, first of all, so we should understand and convince and why do we need to be adhering to these legal formalities. So to help you all understand why this is so vital, I think I tried presenting an acronym, so I just built it so this morning. So which is very clearly denotes the need for adhering to the legal formalities. For example, adhering to the legal formalities in any country, so while setting up an enterprise, it protects your business interests and reputation, first of all. And by ensuring compliance, you safeguard your brand's integrity and maintain trust with the customers. And it guarantees your right to operate. So by following regulations, you avoid potential shutdowns or legal issues that can hinder your business activities. Adhering to the legal formalities greatly improves your access to funding and investments, as Gaurav said. So investors and lenders are more likely to support business that demonstrates the compliance and responsible practices. It helps in creating and building the trust and credibility. Customers, particularly customers and partners, feel confident so while dealing with you. So they're doing their business and operate ethically and legally. And the legal formalities can enhance the employee satisfaction internationally. If somebody is working with an organization where all legal formalities are definitely so followed, so they will have all the satisfaction, and that will bring in the retention. And this compliance ensures a fair and secure working environment for everybody, and promoting loyalty and commitment of your team towards your organization. And it encourages sustainable and socially responsible practices also, right? I think we are answerable to the society, demonstrating our commitment to both the environment and society, and it facilitates focus time on core business activities, right? So if you are very straightforward, so you don't need to think too much about it, right? If you are lying to somebody, then you should be more careful, right? If you are straight, so you can keep only your business on the core activities, all right? And so that is the importance of understanding the legal formalities in an organization, and it improves the competitive advantage. So finally, compliant business stands from the crowd, and it gains the trust and preference of the customers and partners. Lastly, it nurtures organized business decisions, and compliance frameworks provide structure, guidance, decision making, and so definitely it minimizes the risks. All right, and this is all an entrepreneur is expecting to look from the business run and maintenance perspective, because entrepreneurs need to take care of many things. So definitely he needs peace of mind. Then to maintain his peace of mind, so he should be adhering to all legal formalities. So that is the need for adhering to the legal formalities in the organization. And during this session, team, I would like to take quick attention of yours. Since considering the time paucity of 60 minutes, that is humanly impossible to give very detailed description on anything. So, but expectation from this session is at the end of this session. So you may not be becoming an expert, but the end of this session, you will definitely become an expert in posing the right questions when you are dealing with experts, right? When you are dealing with legal formalities of the organization, when you are dealing with an external expert, you should get all the basic hint of what kind of questions, the right questions you can pose to the expert so that they can deliver better for you. And so setting up a startup enterprise in India, it involves comprehensive activity cycles. It starts with finalizing the entity structure, name, which is very crucial, followed by business entity registrations, obtaining necessary licenses, permits, and understanding various agreements. And it is important to evaluate the impact of the regulations such as intellectual property rights, labor laws, taxation, and environmental compliance. Alongside, understanding the terms and conditions of privacy policy of your website is essential, because now, these days, website is your face of the business. Finally, defining the winding process procedures. This is also important as startup procedures, to understand the winding procedures, and following the best practices, which ensures smooth operations throughout the life cycle of the startup. And so adhering to these steps enables entrepreneurs to navigate the legal maze and establish the enterprise successfully in India. It starts from and entity finalizations and with name, and so it goes through the registration agreements, so legal licenses, intellectual property, employment laws, understanding taxation, and so understanding the requirements of the website management and understanding the winding process also sometimes. So this would make a comprehensive process, and this will help you navigating the legal maze, right? When I say legal maze, from the incorporation to the winding up. So you're going to understand this procedure at high level during this session. All right, and so when it comes to the enterprise structure, we keep hearing this word, all right, and entity structure, business structure, enterprise structure. To understand the legal framework, the first step in this process is to understand what kind of legal entity we are trying to operate. So I think in the next 10-15 minutes, we'll try understanding what are the enterprises which are available in India, all right, and what are they. So you should know the basics of those enterprises so that you should be in a position to take the right decision or the right call. In India, there are several types of business entities that can be set up, each with its own advantages and disadvantages. And the most common types of enterprise setups are sole proprietorship, partnerships, limited liability partnerships, LLP, so private limited company and public limited company. And so we all know sole proprietorships, so pretty much. And so this is a business entity, so which is owned and operated by one person, right? We all know about it. So we keep seeing all business activities, so in day and then, so day out, who are connected with the sole proprietorship, and it is the simplest form of the business entity that does not require any formal registrations. However, the owner is personally liable for all debts and obligations of the business. However, setting up a sole proprietorship in India is relatively easy and requires very minimal legal formalities. And to set up a sole proprietorship in India, the owner must obtain a PAN card, not necessarily, but that is the wish list item, and which is a unique identification number issued by the Indian government for tax purposes. Additionally, the owners must register for GST as relevant if the annual turnover of the business exceeds a certain threshold. And finally, the owner must obtain any necessary licenses or permits which are so required for that specific industry. So do you mean sole proprietorship? I think this is pretty good. So enterprise structure that is available in India. So just to let you know and share with you, and there are few very popular companies as of today like Flipkart and Snapdeal. So they started their business model as sole proprietorship in India. So definitely they have translated to more upgraded entity type now. So just to give you a hint, even sole proprietorships got the ability to grow in Indian market. Then the next entity type I would like to talk about is a partnership, so which is similar to sole proprietorship but is owned and operated by two or more people. In a partnership, the partners share the profits and losses of the business, which are jointly liable for all debts and obligations. Partnership do not have a separate legal entity from their owners. So which means that partners are personally liable for their debts and obligations of the partnership as well. This is as good as the sole proprietorship. And partnerships are governed by Indian Partnership Act 1932. And to set up a partnerships, partners must agree to the terms of the partnership in a partnership agreement, and the agreement should include details such as the name of the partnership, so nature of the business, capital contributions of each partner, and profit sharing ratio. These are very key terms. Those needs to be incorporated in the partnerships agreement. That is not mandatory, but partnerships ships must also register with the registrar of the firms and to obtain a PAN card, which is necessary for opening a bank account and filing taxes. And there are some companies which can be associated with the registrations of partnership, right? Like Hindustan Petroleum, Mahindra and Mahindra, they got registered. So initially, as per the Indian Partnership Act, just to mention a few big names and give some connectivity to the partnership. And the next entity type, is limited liability partnerships. I am trying to bring up some connection in a sequential way of how these entities are connected from sole proprietorship to partnership to a limited liability partnership. LLP is a hybrid entity type which is between partnership and a corporation. It provides the benefits of a limited liability protection to its partners while allowing them to manage their business directly. right? That is the beauty of LLP. So they have protection from the liabilities at the same time, so they can manage their business directly. And the partners have limited liability for the debts of the business, but they also have the flexibility to manage business like partnership. It is a popular business structure in India, especially for professional services. So like law firms, accounting firms, and service firms, wherever. So there is a service connectivity. This seems to be an ideal entity. So type. And to set up an LLP in India, you need at least 2 designated partners who will be responsible for the compliance requirements of the business. And we will also need to register the LLP with the Ministry of Corporate Affairs and obtain a certificate of incorporation. Additionally, you will need to file annual returns and maintain proper accounting records. Overall, setting up an LLP in India definitely requires careful planning and attention, so because of the legal formalities connected to it. I think that is so. There are certain legal formalities which are specific to LLPs, which needs to be given more attention. So just to give you a hint, and there are more than 1 lakh limited liability partnerships registrations in India as of now. And so with that, let me pull myself into the most popular entity model, private limited the company. Private limited company is a separate legal entity from its owners and owners, and it provides a limited liability protection to its shareholders. So that is the beauty of this entity type. It requires a minimum of 2 shareholders and 2 directors to start with. And a private limited company is a type of business entity that has a separate legal identity from its owners and shareholders. This means that the company can enter into contracts and own property, and it can be sued. So it can sue somebody, and it can be sued by somebody on its own name. And the liability of the shareholders is limited to the amount of their investment in the company, and which provides them protection against personal liability for the company's debts and obligations. I think we will look at the procedure of registration and all, but at high level, to setting up a private limited company in India, you need to register in the Register of Companies under the Companies Act 2013. And you need to obtain some tools like DST, digital signature certificate, and DIN number, so on and so forth. Just to give you a hint, approximately 80% of the startups which got set up in India, they are private limited companies only. So that itself speaks about how compatible the private limited company to startup enterprises. And so let's not, do you mean the public limited company structure as well? I think as an entrepreneur, if you would like to grow your organization, to be more sustainable and bring in more funding and all, nothing wrong in getting yourself connected to the idea of incorporating a public limited company as well. So even though it got some additional compliance requirements, but not a bad idea to explore, to translate your thought from private limited company to public limited company. A public limited company is similar to a private limited company, but it can raise capital from the public through the sale of shares, and which can be listed, which should be listed on the stock exchange. A publicly limited company is a type of business entity that offers shares to the public and has limited liability. And in India, setting up public limited company requires compliance with several legal formalities. It comes with huge legal formalities, and the process involves obtaining a DST like private limited company and filing for name approvals, so on and so forth. Once the company is incorporated, it must comply with the various regulations such as holding annual general meetings, maintaining proper accounting records, disclosing financial information to the public. Additionally, a public limited company must appoint board of directors and have at least 7 shareholders to start with, and maximum number is unlimited. So you can pull in anybody or everybody into your business if you can convince them. That all can be done. All those wonders can be achieved with the public limited company setup, right? So nothing wrong in evaluating to go public with your enterprise if you think so. You have a sustainable plan and you can convince some people. Right? Just to give an example, Reliance Industries and Bharti. So it tells I just try picking up some popular publicly limited companies in India. And other models, so I think sole proprietorship, partnership, LLP, private limited, public limited are very popular models. But so just to give you a quick hint, what else are there in India? Is a one-person company, right? This is also incorporated from the Companies Act 2013, and as per Section 2, subsection 62 of Companies Act, one-person company means a company that has only one person as a member. All right, so it sounds tricky, but this is the reality, so that can be achieved. So this is a recent invention to facilitate entrepreneurs to own and manage companies alone. All the shares can be owned by one person, and name says one person company, but so we definitely should have a nominee, so which can be connected to, so one person for sure. All the shares can be owned by one person, but there must be a nominee for the sole members to register for this business, and they should have minimum paid up capital of 1 lakh. All right, and this is still an emerging entity model, which will give you the protection of a limited liability company and still have your control and management on whatever you do. So this can be exercised, still emerging. And a couple of other companies, just for your academic interest to understand, that other companies which can be established, other enterprise structures which can be looked at in India as Section 8 companies. And Section 8 companies, normally these are NGOs, organizations. A Section 8 company, we can call it as a non-profit or not-for-profit companies. It can be incorporated under various provisions of the Companies Act 2013. There are multiple provisions which can be used: Companies Act, Societies Registration Act, Indian Trust Act. So Section 8 companies can be built in Indian enterprise structure. So just to give you a hint that Reliance Foundation, Infosys Foundation, Tata Foundation, and all of them are registered Section 8 companies in India. And a high-level enterprise structure I would like to bring out here is joint venture companies, right? The JV. So this is also can be incorporated as per the Companies Act 2013. It means a joint arrangement whereby the parties that have a joint control of the arrangement have rights to the net assets of the arrangement. Joint ventures in India are used across sectors, all right? However, they're more prevalent in high technology, high capital, high technical skill sectors. I think some joint ventures I can remember. Here is a Bharati AXA General Insurance Company Limited, and the one Tata Starbucks, so a joint venture between Tata Global Beverages and the Starbucks Corporation USA. I think so. This is just to give you a hint that there is an extension that can be made to your legal entity form. So even though if you start with a private limited company, and so you can get connected with joint ventures and all, as so on and so forth when you are doing your organization. And one untouched legal entity type. So this is precisely not a legal entity type, but a model is Hindu undivided family model. Right, and so Hindu undivided family, it is a precise kind of business model only found in India, nothing else. So nothing else, and in any other place. A joint Hindu family business is an organization in which only the members of the family, and with the recent regulations, both male and female can be members of the HUF, can manage and own their businesses, and they can own their ancestral properties, ancestral businesses and all. If any of you would like to continue the legacy of your ancestral business, you can think of giving it a chance to understand how Hindu undivided family entity structure would be helpful for you. But there are some certain limitations. This is governed by Hindu law, and the joint Hindu family, also known as Hindu undivided family, the Karta is the head of the family, and so there are several tax benefits connected to it predominantly because HUF is taxed separately from its members. Therefore, it can claim deductions or exemptions allowed under tax laws separately. That is why this entity is looked at, because of the tax flexibility. But disadvantage of this form is, for this purpose, only Hindus, so those who are Jains, Buddhists, Sikhs, who are also treated as Hindus for the purpose of this, can be connected on the HUF. So those who are not covered in the extended definition of the Hindus as per the Succession Acts, and such as Muslims, Christians, Jews, and Zoroastrians cannot have an HUF. I can't comment whether that is correct or not. All right. And but this is the model that is available in India, so that can be looked at if somebody is trying to look at the ancestral business taken forward. And so with that, I think I got a fair chance to cover. So what are the business entity structure which can be evaluated or available in India? But the question is, after knowing what kind of structures available so in the country, then so we need to look at various influencing so factors, and so we need to ensure the comparisons, the basis comparison of so a lot of things that can be so evaluated. And it is important to understand the difference between these types of business entities before deciding which one to set up. Factors such as liability protection, tax implications, and management structures that should be carefully considered. And so like liability threshold and personal risk. So it refers to the extent of personal liability an entrepreneur is willing to bear. And different forms of entities such as sole proprietorship and partnership have unlimited liability, meaning personal assets can be used to satisfy business debts. On the other hand, the limited liability entities like private limited companies and limited liability partnerships that limit the personal liability to the extent of the capital invested, and it protects the personal assets. That is one of those factors which can be which should be evaluated while taking the call and finalizing the entity. And so goals, resources, flexibility, and continuity is also an important thing that should be looked at. For example, if you were the long term, so continuity is a priority. So of a business, then forming a company provides stability and better access to funding is the recommendation. However, if the agility and resource flexibility is important, a partnership or a proprietorship might be more suitable. And so we need to look at the capital investments. So parameters also, the amount of capital needed to start and run a business is another crucial consideration. Entities like companies allow entrepreneurs to raise funds more easily through equity or debt financing. And partnership and proprietorship may have their limitations, may limit the ability to raise substantial capital. We need to take a call. So what is appropriate to us? And the level of control of an enterprise also matters sometimes. So that is why we need to understand the control and management aspects of it. The level of control an entrepreneur wants to maintain for the business and its management. So it also impacts the entity selection process, right? And sole proprietorship offers complete control, but companies distribute control among the shareholders and directors. It is up to us how do we want to control and manage our enterprise. And so other thing we need to look at is the legal formalities, licenses, permits, regulations. So different forms of entities have different legal formalities, right? And licenses, permits, and regulatory requirements. It is essential to understand these obligations and choose an entity that aligns with the entrepreneur's capacity to fulfill them, right? As we understand, we are obligated to be adhering to all the legal formalities. Then we need to understand what kind of appetite we have for managing or running those legal formalities successfully without any deviation. That also needs to be considered while we are taking a call on which business entity, which enterprise entity we should be setting up. And tax obligations, right? And tax considerations play an important role in an entity selection. For example, different types of forms of entities have different tax structures, right? So for example, income tax got some implications on HUF, so sole proprietorship, capital gains tax, some implications on other business models, and GST got some implications on it. And as an entrepreneur, so we should evaluate what kind of tax implications and are connected to our business model, and so we need to choose an entity that optimizes the tax obligation to the extent practically possible. And other thing is the last thing, and but not the least one, is the business model. If we already have a thought process of what kind of business we need to run, then so it also determines what kind of legal entity or enterprise structures we need to choose to. And considering these factors, all these factors helps entrepreneurs making informed decisions based on their risk appetite, business goals, financial capacity, and legal obligations, right? And while it absolutely depends on the priorities of the business when it comes to choosing an entity to operate, from the startup's perspective, a private limited company or LLB seems to be a choice for majority of the startups in India, while a private limited company gives a wide scope to procure investments, and at the same time, LLP also got some benefits. LLP gives more control and flexibility. And just to give you a ballpark number, more than 70% of the Indian startups registered as private limited companies. And so with that, I'll make a quick pause here and ask Do you think any other legal entity, any other enterprise structures, so you think that is already available in India? Anybody would like to take it a call? I think we looked at a couple of entity structures, right? Sole proprietorship, partnership, limited liability partnership, private limited, public limited, Section 8 company, joint venture, so and all that. So do you think, so we missed on something else on this sheet? Yeah, so if not, I can add, so 2 more items which I got, so intentionally not showed up here. So one is the cooperative society business model, right? And organizations like Amul and all, so doing it pretty good with this cooperative societies model, right? And the other model I can think of is running a franchise. So even though that is not an entity model at all, but so running a franchise, particularly for the bio entrepreneurship efforts, that can be an option that can be looked at, right? So with that, giving you a hint that in India, majority of the startups choosing the private limited company, considering all these factors, and so they're finding advantages rather than disadvantages with the private limited company setup for startup companies, right? And so with that, so moving on to the next chart on the presentation today, entity registration and compliances, right? I think there are many entities, so I would only like to take a quick look on procedures connected with the private limited company only, right? Since we are pitching in private limited companies are most desirable enterprise model which can suit startup companies, then that is obviously makes more sense to talk about only private limited companies registration process, right? And so once we know what is the entity type, now we have decided that is private limited company, then so we need to understand how do we reserve our unique name, right? And reserving the name is the very first thing that comes to our mind when we are thinking to set up a business or any organization, right? Majority of the times, our brand name is going to represent us in the market, and we need to ensure all the steps to avoid any trademark issues connected to the proposed name, right? That is the first careful evaluation legal evaluation we should be performing on the name. And that is always advisable to check whether the name in our thoughts is still available or not, right? I think I have a good name in my mind, but fortunately I should be fortunate enough that name should be available by now, correct? So since this economic activity is growing up in the organization, there is kind of dearth of the good names, right? So you need to be more innovative to find a name for your organization and build up your trademark, right? So currently, there are 2 ways to apply for the name, and the first option is to use the Ministry of Corporate Affairs portal to submit a separate intent registration, and another one is to register for a name using the private limited business registration form. I just plotted up a link over here so that you can quickly run through this document whenever there is a possibility. I will share this presentation with Gaurav so that you can give it forward to you, and so you can use this link to understand how do you reserve your unique name. All right, this can be reserved in advance as well. All right, but that is the item that is connected with reserving the name. Then once I have the name, then I need to click on my registration process for the private limited company, and it involves various steps. So I just tried plotting very high level steps over here, right? Step 1 is company name approvals. We just spoke about it, and the registration process for setting up business in India is definitely complex. So we all need to be cognizant enough of this fact, but it is important to follow the correct procedures to avoid any legal issues, right? The first step probably can be obtaining a digital signature certificate. We call it as DST, and DIN number, director identification number. These are the required for filing necessary forms to the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Once the name is approved and DSCs are obtained and DIN numbers are obtained, the company can file the incorporation documents including the memorandum of association, articles of association. All this can be in the electronic form these days, and with the register of the companies. And so this can be submitted. The company will also need to obtain a permanent account number, so which is for tax purposes, and so tax deductions or purposes, stand number from the income tax department. One thing I would like to add here is, so there are other general licenses, so which needs to be obtained. So as part of the process post registration, so all these licenses are predominantly connected with the business type, but few general licenses I can quote here is GSTs, PAN, TAN, and so some licenses, very basic level licenses like shops and establishment licenses. And if we're intending to get connected with the import and export activities, so you should be obtaining the ISC code and other licenses as per the business type. Right? For if you are getting onto a food so business, then FSSCI licenses are so very relevant. And so these are all things those need more attention while you are trying to adhere to the legal formalities of setting this up. And so just wanted to mention on the agreements, so which can be connected. One agreement so that comes to my mind very quickly is the non-disclosure agreement or confidentiality agreement, right? And so since we're dealing with a lot of individual intellect while you are defining your startup, so there is always there is always a requirement to be conscious about these agreements, non-disclosure agreements, so which is called as confidentiality agreement as well. Procedures including so on this document, so which are connected to your business. How do you ensure the confidentiality of your business is achieved, and how do you safeguard your intellectual property, so that all so can be connected to non-disclosure agreement, which are the ones which are they're going to protect your thoughts, your intellectual property, and your business. And non-disclosure agreement is also known as confidential agreement, as I said, is a legal contract so between two parties to protect sensitive information. And the person who breaches the contract will be liable to face the legal consequences. That is, so this is one agreement that is definitely required to be so ready with any entrepreneur, right? Even when you are explaining your business model to somebody, so that is always so good to get onto this confidentiality agreements wherever so applicable. You can seek experts' help on this. So because your thought process is more valuable than anything, that should be your thoughts, so your ideas, your intellectual property should be protected properly. And there are multiple additional documentation requirements which are connected with the registrations of the private limited companies. And so take some time and have a look at it. And a couple of things so I would like to cover during this presentation is on the intellectual property rights. So I understand so there was some session already conducted on IPR, so I'm not very much sure to what extent so that session covered. And so we have a session next session, I think, by Prabhat, so maybe connected with the same concept, if I guess it correctly. So but I'll take a quick Ashish Prabhat, so got a session so next to this and the patent registering and all. Just to mention to you is intellectual property is a creation of human intellect, and intellectual property is a crucial aspect of any business, and it is especially important in India, where the legal system is so very complex connected to it. Patents, trademarks, and copyrights are most common types of intellectual properties, so which are available so in India, which requires protection as well. And all these are governed by many laws here. Trademarks Act 1999, the Patents Act 1970, Copyrights Act, Designs Act, and the Protection of Plant Varieties Act. So if we're getting onto plant breeding and all, predominantly Information Technology Act. So this is it got a lot of impact on all of business decisions these days, right? And so we all know a patent protects a new invention or process. So while trademark protects a brand name or logo, copyrights protect artistic works such as books, music, and movies. And so it is important to understand the legal formalities required for protecting your intellectual property. And failing to do so can result in loss of revenue and damage of your brand reputation. And intellectual properties rights are emerging as strategic business tools, and particularly for startups. So to enhance industrial competitiveness, startups with limited resources and manpower can sustain this highly competitive world only through continuous growth and development on your intellectual thought process or intellectual properties. All right. So then entrepreneurs who have registered their businesses under Startup India initiatives, so they have a lot of hand holding offered. So in this context, right, as part of the SIPP Startup Intellectual Property Protection Program, and so you can have the fast tracking of the startup of patent applications, panel of facilitators, so you can assist so filing this very quickly, and government is bearing the facilitation cost, and so rebate and the filing applications and all this. So all these are there, and so there is definitely the hand holding offered by the government for the startup enterprises. And I think I'll end up here for intellectual properties. I leave it to the next speaker to talk about it more. And other thing is the employment, so loss, labor loss, and environmental loss. And there are more than a dozen of an employment and workplace loss in India. Right, more than dozens. I just precised it. So more than that also. An entrepreneur is expected to at least know about all this while operating any business in India. Employment loss in India are very complex and require careful attention to details, and employers must provide employee benefits such as health insurance, paid time off, retirement benefits, maternity benefits. They must also maintain proper records of employee hours worked, wages paid, and taxes withheld. In addition, employers must comply with the minimum wage laws and ensure that employees are receiving fair compensation for their work and all. So as an entrepreneur, that is your responsibility to maintain the fair compensation for all your employees. And as a new entrepreneur, right, and it is imperative for you to hire people, right? You can't run all your show on your own, so you need to have some more thinking minds and some more working hands. So then you need to employ somebody. Then when you are employing somebody, then so you need to adhere to the employment laws and labor laws, regulations connected to employment. So it is certainly a tedious task, and so I agree. And regulatory formalities requiring compliance with various laws, and sometimes environmental laws also time-consuming and difficult in nature. So a good news here is for compliance, so regime-based, which is based on the self-certification. All right, and Startup India initiative is offering some kind of flexibility, right? In order to make compliance for startups friendly and flexible, simplifications are required in the regulatory regime, and that is what is being issued. Under the Startup India initiative, startups shall be allowed to self-certify their compliances through the Startup mobile app. So with 9 labor and environmental laws as mentioned below. In case of labor laws, no inspections will be conducted for at least for a period of 3 years. Right, this is a kind of good news. But it doesn't mean that we don't need to adhere to these laws. So during that window period or incubation period, but this is just mere a flexibility that is offered to not to face the non-adherence implications. And I just tried highlighting those 9 acts where Government of India is offering the flexibility. So in the adherence of it, right, six of them connected with the employment laws and 3 of them connected with environmental laws. All these 9 laws got some kind of flexibility. So not to very strictly adhere to it. It doesn't mean we should not be adhering to it. So definitely, but some administrative compliance is provided. There would not be any audit until unless if there is a fraudulent activity or somebody complies against it. Right, on the environment laws perspective, there are the 3 laws: the Water Act 1974 and the Water Cess Act 2003 and the Air Prevention Act 1981. So all these are getting reasonable flexibilities for the startup enterprises. I understand Mr. Praveen Kapoor might have covered this on a session on the 60th day of this workshop, if I remember it. And the HRM and personal management, probably he might have covered some of these laws to a certain extent. That is why I don't want to spend a lot of time on this. And moving to the taxation, right? I know. So there is a following up session by Mr. Sateesh that is coming up. So in the next 60 minutes, Sateesh may take care of this particular idea. But I can't afford to escape not talking about taxation because we're talking about the legal formalities which are connected to enterprises. And as you all know, a tax is a compulsory financial charge, or a levy that is imposed on taxpayer by the government to collect revenue, predominantly for public works and welfare activities. And India, you all know, so has a complex taxation system, so that can be overwhelming for businesses. There are different types of taxes, those must be paid, such as income tax, GST, custom duty. Income tax is levied on the income, and GST is value-added taxes, which is a kind of consumption tax, right? And custom duties that is levied on goods, those are imported in India, right? And good thing is GST is introduced in 2017. It subsumes a majority of the indirect taxes. Otherwise, so I think you were forced to understand more than a dozen tax laws against here. But fortunately, so we're all fortunate after 2017 implementation of the GST. So subsume majority of those indirect taxes, right? And still, so GST is trying to be so emerging as a good simple tax, still trying. So that is not at good, so and simple, so that is still trying to go there. But various taxes can be imposed in India, so by central and state governments, including GST and income tax. And it is important for businesses to understand the tax system at very high level. You don't need to be an expert, so definitely. But you need to understand what are these regulations, and failure to do so can result in penalties and legal actions. And businesses should keep proper records of their transactions and file their tax returns on time, so to avoid any penalties, issues and challenges. And just to highlight, startups must be registered with the Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion, DIPP, to fetch designated tax benefits or tax reliefs or tax exemptions. So whatever those are connected with the Indian context. Right. And as I understand, so Sateesh is going to talk about tax and connectivity to MSMEs and startups in the later sessions. Then moving on to the next one, right? I think so. It seems to be a simple one, but this is it is emerging these days, right? And websites, are their face of our organization of business these days, all right? And everybody's, when they're looking at an organization, they look at their website and understand it better, all right? So then it is the context for us. When it comes to website management in India, privacy policy laws and terms and conditions play a vital role in ensuring the protection of users' personal information and establishing clear guidelines for website usage. Privacy policy is a legal document that outlines how a website collects, uses, and stores and protects the information, that is particularly personal information. In India, websites are required to have a privacy policy that complies with the information technology. So rules 2011, predominantly reasonable security practices and procedures, sensitive personal data information rules. These rules states that websites must obtain explicit consent from users before collecting any personal information, and must clearly outline the purpose of which the information is being collected. So it does not mean whatever the information you feed in their websites, they collect from you, they should be using it without your consent. So the consent is a must. And the privacy policy should also be details that the security measures implemented to protect the data, provide information on how users can access and modify their information. And so we need to specify the circumstances under which the information may be shared with the third parties also. If at all, if you are thinking to share the information collected to third parties, that needs to be very clearly discussed on your privacy policy, and you should get your alignment by the users. It is critical for websites to ensure that their privacy policies are easily accessible and prominently displayed on their websites. And other things we need to understand the terms and conditions. Terms and conditions govern the relationship between the websites and its users. So they outline the rules and regulations concerning the users of the website. All right. In privacy, so we talk about the rights of the users. Right. So here, so we're talking about the users of the website, including user responsibilities, intellectual property right, dispute resolution mechanisms, limitations of the liabilities, any disclaimers, and all that. So would come into the terms and conditions. In India, IT Act here again, so defines all the rules and regulations connected with terms and conditions on the websites. It contains provisions related to intermediaries and online platforms. All these rules require websites to prominently display the terms and conditions and make them easily accessible to users. And it is essential for websites in India to have a comprehensive, legally compliant privacy policies and terms and conditions. Just copy pasting privacy policy from the website so would not be helpful considering your business model, your business nitty-gritties. You need to definitely have a look at and create your own privacy policy, which is more relevant to your business model. A privacy policy protects the rights of your users, and so while the terms and conditions protect the rights of your website and your organization and your enterprise. So this is the difference between the two documents. Terms and conditions set forth the guidelines for using the website, and privacy policies describes how you deal with the data. Right, and so like to get on to the final step. So in the legal formalities process, right? So it doesn't sound so positive talking about winding up when you are setting up an enterprise. So there is very so much required for all the entrepreneurs to understand, because when you are entering into a legal obligation, right? So you need to understand how do you close it if that requires. Right, running a business comes with its own challenges, we all know, and sometimes when things do not work out, so a business may have to be shut down. There are many other reasons for shutdown also. There can be several reasons to close or wind up the company. I think I just wanted to highlight there are 4 ways in a private limited company that can be closed. In India, the winding up procedure provisions are governed by the IBC code. There is Insolvency, Bankruptcy Code 2016, and Companies Act also. And adherence to these provisions is very important, because non-compliance would lead to several criminal and civil liabilities. And when it comes to the ways of winding up of a company, so that can be a compulsory use of winding by way of tribunal creditors, voluntary winding, so by the company's organization itself, selling the company sometimes the organization, so company becomes a defunctional, so there is a defunct company winding up. In case of compulsory winding, any company registered in India, so which did an unlawful act or fraudulent act, or even if they contributed any action in some fraudulent or unlawful activities, then such company would be winded up compulsorily by the tribunal, so with the direction of the tribunals. And voluntary winding up sometimes, so as an entrepreneur, so you might have a different business plan, so you wanted to translate your business into a different mode and all. So there are situations where this voluntary winding up also can be. So there, right, winding up a company voluntarily requires, so it is a long procedure. So right, when you talk about voluntary winding up a company, definitely, so I think troublesome and long procedures to compliance with a lot of procedures. There are certain mandatory requirements that have to be completed to close down a company voluntarily. And I'm taking an example of selling the company, so it may not be a part of the winding as such, but when you are thinking to sell off a private limited company, so it's also a kind of voluntary winding up. So I am considering here, and it can be done by selling shares of the company to others. Technically speaking, it is not an actual winding up, but the stakes are transferred to another person, and there are some procedural aspects you need to be taken care of. And when I talk about defunct company winding up, Company Act defines a defunct company is a company that has gained the status of the dormant company. So that means no activity. The government provides certain reliefs to such defunct or dormant companies, and so there are kind of fast track exit schemes which can be connected. So while anybody is trying to close the dormant company, right? And so steps of winding up are pretty long for a voluntary, as we discussed, right? And so in case of voluntary, so winding up, so there should be a resolution that needs to be passed, and consent of stakeholders should be attained, and so there should be a declaration of solvency. So ensuring that you are going to solve all your creditors related issues, and company liquidator will get into the picture, and tribunal's order will be delivered and submitted to ROC once the tribunal order is finalized. And in case of compulsory winding, filing up a petitions along with the statement of affairs, so is required. So with the tribunal, then you need to advertise it for 14 days on a local language, the local newspapers, to ensure that everybody should be knowing about this winding up proposal, and proceedings of the tribunal would follow. So this is also a lengthy procedure. Only one thing that I wanted to highlight here is best practices. There are some best practices too. So we should be careful enough. So during the winding procedure also, right? So we need to follow the proper methods and procedures to be adopted. And so we need to adhere to the procedures, ensure there is no legal action that comes on the company or on the directors, or so on the key managerial persons who are involved in this and this entire process. They should be very legally very clean process. And liquidation processes are normally very not very costly. And so we need to ensure creditor protection also. I can't abruptly close a company without taking care of all the creditors who did put on their time, effort and their faith on the organization, right? And other thing is the last one is we need to ensure all the running agreements, right? So you might have entered into many agreements, running agreement, those need to be taken care of, just like lease agreement, rental agreements, and also they should be properly cancelled. And just to keep in mind that non-compliance during wind-up procedure also would bring in a lot of criminal and civil liabilities. So with that, I have reached my slide 13 and last slide of this session. And as we understand, during the last 1 hour, setting up any business in India can seem daunting task at first, all right, and it's a daunting, haunting, and all challenging. But with the right knowledge and resources, it can be a rewarding and profitable journey as well. Rewarding and profitable venture as well. The key takeaways from this presentation would be surely helpful for you for understanding the different types of the business entities, completing the necessary legal formalities, complying with all the requirements like taxation, employment laws, intellectual properties and all, and overcoming all the challenges through perseverance and innovation. I think I am on dot, so Gaurav, 11:1. So let me stop here where I have started. Entrepreneurship is a challenging journey. It is neither science nor an art. So this is just the practice, the continuous practice or continuous learning. Thank you for your time and attentive listening. And you can feel free to reach out to me for any kind of support. I'm dropping here my LinkedIn profile, links for your benefit. I'll share these presentations with Gaurav end of this session. In case of any kind of support you need, feel free to reach out to me. Again, I would like to congratulate Galgodias University for setting up this kind of tremendous workshop, which is very comprehensive. All the elements, I think, all entrepreneurs or to-be entrepreneurs should be definitely taking active part in this session. So with that, Gaurav, over to you.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, I think I have reduced your time, and that is very bad for me. Actually, I will plan, sir, your session, because your session was very interesting and informative, and it needs approximately 2.5 hours to discuss all the legal entity, which one is better, the newly entrepreneur should go which type of entity. Dear participant, the session is open for the question answer, and if you have any query, you can ask to our speaker.
Yeah, just for
please unmute yourself.
Yeah, just for everybody's benefit, I'm very active on LinkedIn.
Yes.
I'm available 24/7. In fact, I think you can reach out to me later as well. Just wanted to
switch on your camera, switch on your mic, and ask the query. Make the session interactive. Anyone?
Yeah. That's fine, Gaurav. I think so.
Yes, sir. Actually, there is a big confusion for the registration of the company. The student and faculty has several type of ideas, several type of prototype or some services. So which kind of company they should go with, as well as which type of compliance. Actually, one of my student comes with the idea that I want to deliver the drugs in the hostel, medicine. Okay. I will take from order from the student, and I will deliver the medicine. So I have just talked with him that go with all the compliances, what type of certification and license you should have. So he has told me that there is no need of license because I am taking, I am just picking the order from the medicinal shop and delivering to the customer. So I have not permitted for that. So there are several type of confusion.
In this case,
The student. Yes, sir.
Gaurav, in this case, drug control acts are very stringent, right?
Yes, sir.
And they have state specific, so nomenclature and legislation connected to it. So that is not very easy if you see.
Yes, sir. Or they have actually that student forced me for 1 month. Okay. Sir, please approve. I will deliver the medicine to the student. No, I will not approve.
No problem, Gaurav. I think you can get him connected to me so that I can provide him the hint of what kind of compliances he needs to go through for
yes, sir. So,
running this kind of business.
So the participant get the opportunity to discuss your query with our expert. If you have any query related to the startup, you can switch on your camera or video or mic. Any query? No. So I think there is no query from the participant.
No problem. So Gaurav, that will take some good time for digesting all this information, and eventually they will have a lot of questions in the process, right? When they move on to the process, and so just ensuring them so they have the support system they can reach out to, right? And so this is cost-free support system they can use. They can talk to me at any given point of time. Thank you. Thanks for your time.
Sir, and Anamika ma'am, are you here? Okay. So, sir. Sir, okay. Sir, please, please receive a token of gratitude from the Galgotia University on behalf of organizing committee. We are very delightful and very grateful to have you. We are feeling very honored to have you as a keynote speaker, sir. And in the future, I wish you should be present in our university. You should be invited in our university to deliver the insightful session, sir. So thank you, sir, once again. Please accept the digital mementos.
Thanks so much. So Gaurav, obliged to get this guest of honor for the day. Thank you.
Thank you. So we are moving ahead. Our next speaker, Ashish sir, has joined, I think. So good morning, Ashish sir.
Good morning, sir. Am I audible, sir?
Yes. Good morning, sir. So, am I audible, sir?
Yeah, you are audible, sir.
Okay, sir. So, we are moving ahead, and our next speaker, Mr. Ashish Prabhat, sir. He is an examiner of patent and design, Group A officer, and NIPAM officer in Indian Patent Office, Delhi, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India. Mr. Prabhat deals the national and international patent application related to biotechnology, agriculture science, biochemistry, and food science. He has completed his graduation from Dr. Rajendra Prasad Central Agriculture University, Pusa, Bihar, in the biotechnology, and post-graduation in biomedical science from the University of Delhi, followed by PhD in intellectual property right from IGNOU and LLB from the Merit University. So we are grateful to have you as a speaker, sir, in this 4-week technology-based entrepreneurship development program sponsored by the DST, Department of Science. So we are inviting you, sir, to deliver the talk. and thankful that you have accepted our invitation. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Good morning, everyone.
Yes, sir, your screen is visible.
Screen is visible, sir. Slide is showing ना? Slide दिख रहा है sir?
Sir, you can do it on presentation mode, full screen. Okay.
Prabhat, you can click on the icon next to the 70%. So there is an icon showing up. So 70%, yeah. So next to so on your so left.
Glass.
So there is a glass icon that is showing up 80% next to on the left hand. You can.
Sir, now it is visible.
Yeah, that is not on the presentation mode. It's
Yes, sir, it is visible, sir.
Yeah, please.
So
Oh, slide is changing.
slide. Sir, just change the slide.
Slide is changing or not?
No, sir. No, sir. It is not, sir. Sir, you can stop the sharing and share again. Oh, yes, sir. It has been changed.
But not in full screen, na? It is in full screen, sir.
Yes, you can click on the from beginning like that. One button. Yes.
Now it's changing.
Yeah, Prabhatji, so you need to on the screen sharing mode. So that option is next to the, so you see 70%, right, on the top down corner, 70%. The 70%, so on the left of it, you see a mirror. So yeah, little down.
So from beginning, I have to click on the from beginning, na?
Sir, you can start like that. If you are, there is some technical issue, I think.
Slide सर चेंज हो रहा है क्या?
Yes, sir. Slide तो change हो रहा है सर. अभी फर्स्ट स्लाइड पे नहीं है सर, अभी थर्ड स्लाइड है.
फर्स्ट स्लाइड आ गया सर?
नहीं सर.
नहीं.
Yeah. So next to 70%, sir, there is three options available.
Sir, where?
Near adjacent to 70%, where you are just finding the 70%. The down bottom.
Down bottom.
Near to 70%.
Actually, it is. One is there, so 70%. Okay.
Yeah, this one. Click here.
Now it is in full screen, sir.
You just reshare once again and click on this icon only, so it will be fine. What I think.
So it is in full screen. Actually, we do with the WebEx. Zoom is new for me.
Sir, you can go with it.
Okay. So slide change हो रहा है क्या?
सर स्लाइड सेकंड स्लाइड पे आइए सर, अभी फर्स्ट स्लाइड है।
फर्स्ट स्लाइड है, मीन्स की ये चेंज नहीं हो रहा है। अब तो चेंज हो रहा है।
यस सर, यस सर।
ठीक है, मैं ऐसे स्टार्ट करता हूँ।
हाँ
तो गुड मॉर्निंग एवरीवन। सबसे पहले मैं आप सबको अपने पेटेंट ऑफिस की तरफ से इस इंटेलेक्चुअल प्रॉपर्टी सेशन के लिए वेलकम करता हूँ। आज जो मेरा टॉपिक है डिस्कशन का वो इंटेलेक्चुअल प्रॉपर्टी मैनेजमेंट। दैट मीन्स कि सबसे पहले तो हमें ये जानना है कि इंटेलेक्चुअल प्रॉपर्टी होती कितने तरह की। जब भी हम इंटेलेक्चुअल प्रॉपर्टी की बात करते हैं तो सबसे पहले अपने दिमाग में आता है कि हम पेटेंट की बात करते हैं, बट ऐसा नहीं है। इंटेलेक्चुअल प्रॉपर्टी कई तरह के होते हैं। सबसे पहला है पेटेंट, डिजाइन, ट्रेडमार्क, ज्योग्राफिकल इंडिकेशन, कॉपीराइट एंड SICLD। वन बाय वन मैं डिस्कस करूंगा कि कैसे एक इंटेलेक्चुअल प्रॉपर्टी आपको एक एकेडमिक रिकॉग्निशन के साथ साथ आपको रेवेन्यू जनरेट कर सकता है। तो हमें समझना होगा कि पेटेंट हमें किस चीज़ का, जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल आपने एक इन्वेंशन किया है, आपने एक प्रोडक्ट बनाया है, या फिर आपने एक प्रोसेस डिजाइन किया है, या फिर आपने कोई टेक्नोलॉजी डेवलप की है और आपको ऐसा लगता है कि मुझे इसका पेटेंट कराना चाहिए या फिर इसका डिजाइन का रजिस्ट्रेशन कराना चाहिए, तो आपको पता होना चाहिए कि मुझे किस चीज़ का पेटेंट फाइल करना है और किसका मुझे डिजाइन रजिस्ट्रेशन कराना है और किस चीज़ का हमें ट्रेडमार्क लेना है। तो यहाँ पर एक बड़ा अच्छा एग्जाम्पल मैंने लाया है कि ये एक आप देख सकते हैं कि एप्पल का लैपटॉप है। इसमें आप देखिए कि जब मुझे इस लैपटॉप का पेटेंट कराना है, मीन्स की इंटेलेक्चुअल प्रॉपर्टी इसके अंदर जो जो है अवेलेबल, उन सबकी यदि प्रोटेक्शन कर लेनी है हमें, तो कौन कौन से पार्ट्स का वन बाय वन हम देखेंगे। तो सबसे पहले आपको LED डिस्प्ले जो है वो पेटेंट का सब्जेक्ट मैटर है, तो हमें LED डिस्प्ले को पेटेंट में फाइल करना पड़ेगा। और जो उसकी बॉडी है, मीन्स की जो उसके लैपटॉप का जो डिजाइन है वो यूनिक डिजाइन है, उसे हमें डिजाइन में रजिस्ट्रेशन कराना होगा। साथ ही साथ यदि आपका कोई सिंबल है, कोई लोगो है, कोई आपका ब्रांड नेम है, वो हम ट्रेडमार्क में फाइल करते हैं। जो इसका यूजर मैनुअल है वो हमें कॉपीराइट में फाइल करनी चाहिए, और जो इसकी IC है वो SICLD डिजाइन में जानी चाहिए। तो जब आप चाहते हैं कि मेरे प्रोडक्ट का कंप्लीट प्रोटेक्शन मिले, तो आपको हर एंगल से, हर जितने भी इंटेलेक्चुअल प्रॉपर्टी उसमें है, उन सब के थ्रू आपको प्रोटेक्शन लेना चाहिए। जब आप एक मशीन डिजाइन करते हैं, जब आप एक ऑपरेटर्स डिजाइन करते हैं, तो उसमें आपको कम से कम मिनिमम दो तो आपको मिलेंगे इंटेलेक्चुअल प्रॉपर्टी। पहला आपको पेटेंट कराना चाहिए उस प्रोडक्ट का, और जो आपने डिजाइन बनाई है उस मशीन की, जो 3 डायमेंशनल आपने जो डिजाइन बनाई है, उसका आपको डिजाइन रजिस्ट्रेशन कराना चाहिए। साथ ही साथ यदि उसका कोई यूजर मैनुअल है कि भाई इसको कैसे यूज करना है, वो यूनिक मैनुअल है, तो आपको उसका कॉपीराइट भी कराना चाहिए। ठीक है, तो थोड़ा डिटेल में हम लोग देखेंगे कि व्हाट इज पेटेंट। सो पेटेंट इज अ ग्रांट बाय ए नेशन और ग्रुप ऑफ नेशन टू एन इन्वेंटर और हिज असाइनी। यहाँ पर जो हाईलाइटेड वर्ड्स हैं उस पर आप ध्यान दीजिए। ए ग्रांट बाय ए नेशन, पेटेंट एक ग्रांट होता है। दैट मीन्स कि जब हम कोई एप्लीकेंट हमारे पास पेटेंट फाइलिंग करने के लिए आता है, तो उसका एप्लीकेशन हम एग्जामिनेशन के बाद जब हमें लगता है कि वो नोवेल है, तो हम उसको हम ग्रांट देते हैं, अदरवाइज हम रिफ्यूज करते हैं। सिमिलरली डिजाइन, ट्रेडमार्क, कॉपीराइट, ये सारी चीजें ग्रांट नहीं होती, ये सारी चीजें रजिस्टर्ड होती। So patent is a grant by a nation or group of nations. Nations means, for example, India can file. You can file patent in India. You can file patent in USA. You can file patent in China. Or patent, you can also file patent in European Patent Office. You can also file a patent in United States. So patent is a grant by a nation or group of nations to an inventor or his assignee. Here there are two terms: inventor and assignee. Inventor means, for example, I am a true and first inventor. That means I have invented a product and I go for the patent. So I will be the inventor. But in case when you are employee of a universities, or when you are employee of a company or a industry, then you have to assign your rights to your employer. फॉर एग्जाम्पल आप डेल में काम करते हैं और वहां पर आपने एक नई टेक्नोलॉजी बनाई है, तो ऐसे केस में आपको अपने राइट्स, पेटेंट फाइलिंग राइट्स, ना कि अपना पेटेंट, यहाँ पर समझना है। जब आप किसी यूनिवर्सिटी में एम्प्लॉय होते हैं, वहाँ पर आप प्रोफेसर होते हैं, साइंटिस्ट होते हैं, और वहाँ पर आपने कुछ नया रिसर्च किया और आपको पेटेंट फाइल करना है, तो ऐसे केस में आपको खुद से फाइल नहीं करना है, आपको अपने पेटेंट फाइलिंग राइट असाइन करनी है यूनिवर्सिटीज को, बिकॉज आपने वहाँ का रिसोर्सेस यूज किया है, वहाँ एज ए एम्प्लॉय रहते हुए आपने काम किया है। तो उनके इंटेलेक्चुअल प्रॉपर्टी लॉ के हिसाब से जो उनका जो IP रेगुलेशन है, जो उन्होंने बना रखा है, पॉलिसीज है, उसके अकॉर्डिंग आपको पेटेंट फाइलिंग उनके थ्रू करना होगा। उस केस में आप इन्वेंटर रहेंगे और जो आपकी यूनिवर्सिटीज है, जो आपका कंपनी है, वो अप्लीकेंट होगा। तो कई बार ऐसा क्वेश्चन आता है कि सर आज हम यहाँ पर काम कर रहे हैं, कल यदि हमने इसे छोड़ दिया इस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को, तब हमारे पेटेंट का क्या होगा? तो पेटेंट ऑफिस के गाइडलाइन के अकॉर्डिंग जब आप जब पेटेंट फाइल होता है एप्लीकेंट के नाम से और उसमें इन्वेंटर भी होते हैं, तो वैसे केस में जब आप टेक्नोलॉजी ट्रांसफर करते हैं, फॉर एग्जांपल आपने पेटेंट ग्रांट के बाद आपने आपकी जो यूनिवर्सिटीज है उसने किसी कंपनी को वो टेक्नोलॉजी दे दी कुछ पैसे लेकर, और उसके बदले में उसे रॉयल्टी मिल रही है। उस रॉयल्टी में 40% उस यूनिवर्सिटी का राइट होता है और 60% आपका होता है। और ये जो 60-40 का रेशियो है, ये पूरे टेन्योर तक चलते रहेगा। जब तक वो पेटेंट 20 ईयर्स के लिए होता है, वो 20 ईयर्स तक चलते रहे, चाहे आप वहाँ रहें या ना रहें, वो आपका अपना राइट है। और साथ ही साथ कई बार ऐसा होता है कि लोगों को कंफ्यूजन होता है कि यदि हमने वहाँ पे छोड़ दिया उस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को, और छोड़ने के बाद यदि यूनिवर्सिटी ने 2-4 और लोगों को उसमें ऐड कर लिया या फिर हमारा नाम उसमें हटा दिया, तब क्या हमारा होगा? तो मैं आपको बता दूं कि जब आपको पेटेंट में आपका नाम है, दैट मीन्स कि आप एज इन्वेंटर उसमें हैं, तो आपका नाम जब तक कि आपके कंसेंट नहीं मिलेगा उनको विद एफिडेविट, आपका नाम वो डिलीट नहीं कर सकते। हमारे ऑफिस में वो डिलीट करवाने के लिए यदि वो लेटर भेजेंगे अभी, तो हम उनसे पूछते हैं कि आप उनसे कंसेंट लेके आइए, आप एफिडेविट ले लीजिए कि उनको इनका नाम ऐड करने से या इनका नाम डिलीट करने से उनको कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है। तो बिना आपके परमिशन के वो आपका नाम वहाँ से हटा नहीं सकते। इसलिए जो आईपीआर पॉलिसी है कि हर यूनिवर्सिटीज की, हर इंस्टीट्यूट की अपने अलग अलग होती है, उसको बाईपास ना करके मैं सजेस्ट करता हूँ सबको कि आप पेटेंट फाइलिंग अपने एम्प्लॉयर के थ्रू ही करें। So patent is a grant by a nation or group of nations to an inventor or his assignee, conferring upon a right to exclude others from making, using, selling and offering for sale. That means कि पेटेंट ग्रांट करने का पर्पस ये नहीं होता कि आप उसको एक्सप्लॉइट करें, आप महंगे दाम में या फिर आप मोनोपोली मार्केट में ले आए और उसको आप डिमांड के अकॉर्डिंग फुलफिल भी ना करें और महंगे दाम पर बेचें। ये हमारा पर्पस नहीं होता। हमारा पेटेंट ग्रांट करने का पर्पस ये होता है कि हम आपको प्रोटेक्शन देते हैं ताकि उस प्रोडक्ट को कोई और यूज ना कर सके या कोई और उसको मैन्युफैक्चरिंग करके सेल ना कर सके फॉर ए लिमिटेड पीरियड ऑफ टाइम। ये जो लिमिटेड पीरियड है ये 20 ईयर्स, और वो 20 ईयर्स हम काउंट करते हैं जिस दिन आपने पेटेंट फाइल किया था, ना कि जिस दिन आपको पेटेंट ग्रांट हुआ था। दैट मीन्स कि अभी अभी हमारे ऑफिस की ये सिचुएशन है कि जब आप पेटेंट फाइल करेंगे तो कम से कम आपको 1.5 से 2 साल में पेटेंट ग्रांट मिलेगा। तो पर आपकी जो प्रोटेक्शन है, प्रोटेक्शन आपकी डेट ऑफ फाइलिंग से स्टार्ट हो जाती है, और साथ ही साथ जो 20 ईयर्स का टेन्योर है वो भी डेट ऑफ फाइलिंग से ही स्टार्ट हो जाता है। बिकॉज जिस दिन आपने पेटेंट फाइल किया है वहीं से अपने पेटेंट को आप इंजॉय कर सकते हैं, आप उसे कॉमर्शलाइज कर सकते हैं, आप उसको बेच सकते हैं, आपका फुल प्रोटेक्शन। ठीक है। Facts of patent. Patent right is a qualified right. It does not automatically give the owner the right to exploit his invention, but certainly gives the right to others from exploiting his invention. I have discussed this in the previous slide. The patent right is territorial in nature. इसको समझिए, जब हम पेटेंट ग्रांट की बात करते हैं, आपने इंडिया में पेटेंट फाइल किया और आपको इंडियन पेटेंट ऑफिस ने ग्रांट दे दिया। अब आप चाहते हैं कि नहीं, मुझे यूएस में भी पेटेंट फाइल करना है, चाइना में भी पेटेंट फाइल करना है, तो आपको सेपरेटली हर जगह एप्लीकेशन भेजना होगा, अपने पेटेंट एप्लीकेशन को भेजना होगा। वो अपने पेटेंट एक्ट के अकॉर्डिंग आपकी पेटेंट की एग्जामिनेशन करेंगे, उन्हें ऐसा लगेगा कि हाँ सब कुछ ठीक है तो दे विल ग्रांट, अदरवाइज दे कैन रिफ्यूज। सो ऐसा नहीं कि आपने कोई पेटेंट फाइल किया और आपको इंडिया में ग्रांट हो गया और पूरे वर्ल्ड में ये वैलिड है, ऐसा नहीं है। पेटेंट हमेशा टेरिटोरियल होता है। A patent granted by India is valid in India only. Similarly, a patent granted in USA is valid in USA only. So there is nothing called world patent or international patent. कई लोग ऐसा कंफ्यूजन क्रिएट करते हैं कि हमारा कोई इंटरनेशनल पेटेंट है या वर्ल्ड पेटेंट है, ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं। मैं आपको बताऊंगा कि वो किस चीज से कंफ्यूज होते हैं और लोगों को कंफ्यूज भी करते हैं कि हमारा इंटरनेशनल पेटेंट। So what are the pros of patent system? After getting a patent, you will get incentive to do innovation and investment in R&D activities. You can commercialize your invention, you can ट्रांसफर योर टेक्नोलॉजी। कई बार कुछ लॉस भी हैं, जैसे अचानक से हाई प्राइस ऑफ पेटेंटेड प्रोडक्ट्स, लेस कॉम्पिटिटिव मार्केट्स, ड्राफ्टिंग ऑफ इन्वेंशन। जब सबसे बड़ा क्वेश्चन ये होता है कि भाई हमने इन्वेंशन कर लिया, कुछ कुछ हमारे पास आइडिया है, या हमने एक प्रोडक्ट बनाया है, या हमने एक मेडिसिन, एक ड्रग बनाई है, या हमने कोई ऐसा मशीन इंस्ट्रूमेंट बनाया है और मैं चाहता हूँ कि इसका पेटेंट हो जाए। तो पेटेंट करने के लिए जैसे आप रिसर्च पेपर लिखते हैं, जर्नल में आप जब पेपर भेजते हैं तो उसकी एक राइटिंग स्किल होती है, जो कि आपका अपना ओरिजिनल वर्क होता है या फिर रिव्यू आर्टिकल आप लिखते हैं, तो वो आप उसको अपने अकॉर्डिंग लिख कर आप सबमिट करते हैं जर्नल में, वो आपको वापस भेजते हैं कि भाई इसको यहाँ एडिट कर लीजिए, फिर वो पब्लिश होता है। सिमिलरली पेटेंट ड्राफ्टिंग के केस में क्या होता है कि आपको कुछ कुछ बातें ध्यान देनी है, क्योंकि ये सिंपल साइंटिफिक लैंग्वेज नहीं होता, वो एक टेक्नो लीगल लैंग्वेज होता है जिसमें कि आपको साइंटिफिक बातें भी लिखनी है और साथ ही साथ फॉर्मेट का और जो रूल्स और लॉ एक्ट है, जो हमारा सेक्शन है पेटेंट एक्ट 1970 में, उसके अकॉर्डिंग आपको ड्राफ्ट करना है। तो ड्राफ्टिंग बहुत ईजी होता है। आजकल लोग ड्राफ्टिंग के लिए किसी एडवोकेट्स का या किसी पेटेंट अटॉर्नी की हेल्प लेते हैं, पर मैं आपको बताता हूँ कैसे आप इसको खुद से भी कर सकते हैं। पेटेंट ड्राफ्टिंग कैसे कर सकते हैं? सबसे पहले आपको बैकग्राउंड ऑफ इन्वेंशन लिखना है। बैकग्राउंड ऑफ इन्वेंशन में आपको ये बताना है कि डिस्क्राइब द नीड फॉर द इन्वेंशन। यू हैव टू डिस्क्राइब व्हाट इज द नीड फॉर द इन्वेंशन। दैट मीन्स कि जो एग्जिस्टिंग नॉलेज था या जो एग्जिस्टिंग टेक्नोलॉजी थी उसमें क्या क्या ड्रॉबैक था और आपने जो प्रोडक्ट बनाया है उसमें वो ड्रॉबैक कैसे सोल्व हो पाए। फॉर एग्जाम्पल आपने कोई कोविड, जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल कोविड-19 का कोई डिटेक्शन किट आपने बनाया है, आप ये कह रहे हैं कि पहले जो किट अवेलेबल था वो 1000 रुपीज का था, हमने 200 में बनाया है ना। तो आपकी जो टेक्नोलॉजी है, जो आपका प्रोडक्ट है, वो एग्जिस्टिंग नॉलेज से कैसे बेहतर है, आपको ये बैकग्राउंड में बताना। आप इसको 4 पेज 5 पेज जितना भी मर्जी आप उसको लिख सकते हैं। सेकंड पैराग्राफ में आपको समरी ऑफ इन्वेंशन बताना, मीन्स कि यू हैव टू डिस्क्राइब हाउ द इन्वेंशन वर्क्स। दैट मीन्स कि यदि कोई प्रोडक्ट जैसे कोई मशीन है तो मशीन कैसे वर्क करता है, किस प्रिंसिपल पर वर्क करता है, क्या उसका मैकेनिज्म है। सिमिलरली यदि कोई आपने ड्रग बनाया है तो ड्रग का मोड ऑफ एक्शन क्या है, वो कैसे जो एग्जिस्टिंग ड्रग है उससे कैसे बेहतर है, ठीक है। और द प्रेफर्ड एम्बॉडीमेंट्स एंड एग्जांपल्स। एग्जांपल्स मींस कि आपको डेटा देना है। डेटा मींस यहाँ पर डेटा को आप समझिए कि मैक्सिमम पेटेंट जो हम रिजेक्ट करते हैं वो एग्जांपल्स के बेसिस पे करते हैं। कई बार लोग पेटेंट फाइल तो कर देते हैं, उनके पास एक आइडियाज होता है कि भाई हमने ये एक मेडिसिन बनाया है और ये एंटी कैंसर है ना, या फिर वो एंटी हेपेटाइटिस है, या फिर आपने एक मशीन बनाई है जो कि उसकी एफिशिएंसी 100% है। पर आपको एक डेटा भी देना है कि वाकई में आपने कुछ कंपेरेटिव डेटा लिया है कि नहीं। फॉर एग्जांपल मैंने एक ड्रग बनाई है या फिर एक मैंने हर्बल फॉर्मुलेशन बनाया और मैं ये कह रहा हूँ कि जो सिंथेटिक ड्रग है उससे मेरा हर्बल फॉर्मुलेशन बेहतर है, तो आपको एक एग्जाम्पल देना होगा। दैट मीन्स कि आपने एक्सपेरिमेंट किया है कि नहीं, एनिमल मॉडल पर या सेल कल्चर पर आपने एक्सपेरिमेंट किया है और आपको पता लगा कि हाँ भाई ये पहले से बेहतर है। उस तरह से जब आपने कोई मशीन बनाई है तो आप बताइए कि उसकी एफिशिएंसी कम थी पर इसकी एफिशिएंसी ज़्यादा है। वो टेबुलर फॉर्म में, ग्राफिकल फॉर्म में वो डेटा हमें चाहिए होता है। सिर्फ हाइपोथेटिकल स्टेटमेंट देने से या मियर स्टेटमेंट देने से वो पेटेंट ग्रांट नहीं होता जब तक कि आप उसके साथ कोई डेटा सप्लीमेंट नहीं करते। थर्ड पार्ट है इसका क्लेम्स, जो कि सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट। क्लेम्स का मतलब ये होता है कि अल्टीमेटली आपको चाहिए क्या। फॉर एग्जाम्पल मैंने एक व्हील चेयर बनाई है, मैंने एक व्हील चेयर बनाई है और व्हील चेयर की यूनिकनेस इसमें है कि वो उससे आप प्लेन सरफेस पे तो चल ही सकते हैं, साथ साथ आप रफ सरफेस पर भी चल सकते हैं, ठीक है, और सीढ़ियों पर भी चल सकते हैं। ये उसकी खास बात है। तो आपने उसमें उसका वर्किंग एग्जांपल दे दिया, कैसे वो काम करता है, किस प्रिंसिपल पर है, उसमें कौन से पावर सोर्स क्या है, व्हील्स कितने हैं, उसका बॉडी किस चीज़ का बना है, सब सारी बातें आपने समरी में और बैकग्राउंड में लिख दिया। पर आपसे मैं पूछूंगा कि आपको चाहिए क्या, या आपको वो व्हील चेयर चाहिए या फिर वो व्हील चेयर बनाने का प्रोसेस चाहिए, तो आप बोलेंगे कि हमें दोनों चाहिए। तो आपको दोनों वो क्लेम्स के अंडर सेगमेंट में लिखना है। जैसे क्लेम्स कैसे लिखते हैं, यदि मैं इसका क्लेम लिखना चाहूँ तो ये व्हील चेयर कंप्राइजिंग 2 व्हील्स, 2 हैंडल्स, 1 पावर सोर्स, 1 मोटर, है ना। सेकंड क्लेम्स में मैं लिखूंगा कि जो व्हील चेयर जो मैंने पहले क्लेम किया था क्लेम 1 में, उसमें पावर सोर्स क्या है, बैटरी है या फिर सोलर चार्ज होता है सोलर से, या फिर वो एसी है या डीसी है, जो हमने जो बॉडी पार्ट है उसका मेटालिक है कि प्लास्टिक है कि वुडन है, ये सारी बातें आपको डिपेंडेंट क्लेम्स में लिखने। ये होता है क्लेम्स। एब्स्ट्रैक्ट, जैसे कि आप रिसर्च पेपर में एब्स्ट्रैक्ट लिखते हैं वैसे यहाँ भी एब्स्ट्रैक्ट लिखना है, पर यहाँ है कि आपको 150 वर्ड्स में ही लिखना है। ड्राइंग, अब ड्राइंग का मतलब आप देखिए यहाँ पर ड्राइंग है ना कि फिगर्स है या फोटोज है। कई बार ऐसा होता है कि जब कोई मशीन बनाता है तो उसका मशीन का फोटो कैमरा से खींच के और अपलोड डाल देते हैं हमारे, पर वैसा नहीं करना, आपको ड्राइंग बनानी है, आपको इंटरनल ड्राइंग बनाना है। सर जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल आपने लैपटॉप बनाया है तो इसके अंदर का सर्किट आपको बनानी है, सर्किट डायग्राम बनानी है, ठीक है ना। व्हील चेयर आपने बनाया है तो उसका मॉडल बनाना है, ना कि आपको फोटो खींच कर लेना, ठीक है। ये होगी ड्राफ्टिंग। जब आपने ड्राफ्ट कर लिया है तो आपके पास अब अगला क्वेश्चन है कि भाई मैं कहाँ फाइल करूं और कैसे फाइल करूं। यदि आप एक इंडियन एप्लीकेंट हैं और आप इंडिया में रहते हैं तो आपको पेटेंट फाइलिंग के लिए आपके पास 4 ऑप्शन है। पहला, आप अपने जुडिक्शन के अकॉर्डिंग, फॉर एग्जांपल आप नॉर्थ इंडिया में रहते हैं तो आपको दिल्ली पेटेंट ऑफिस में फाइल करनी है। सिमिलरली आप साउथ इंडिया में रहते हैं तो आपको चेन्नई फाइल करनी है। ईस्ट या वेस्ट में रहते हैं तो आपको फिर वो मुंबई और कोलकाता फाइल करनी है, ठीक है। तो जुडिक्शन के अकॉर्डिंग आप डिसाइड कर लीजिए। फाइल करने का 4 तरीका। पहला, आप ऑनलाइन फाइलिंग कर सकते हैं। ऑनलाइन फाइलिंग के लिए आपको हमारे पेटेंट ऑफिस के साइट पर लॉगिन आईडी पासवर्ड बनाना है। ई मुद्रा का वो ई मुद्रा वाला सिग्नेचर हम लोग एक्सेप्ट करते हैं, तो उसके थ्रू आप फाइलिंग कर सकते हैं। ऑनलाइन फाइलिंग जब आप करते हैं तो आपको 1600 का डिस्काउंट भी मिलता है, सॉरी 10% का डिस्काउंट भी मिलता है। दूसरा ऑप्शन है कि आप बाई पोस्ट भेज दीजिए अपने पेटेंट को ड्राफ्ट करके, उसमें डिमांड ड्राफ्ट डाल दीजिए 1600 रुपीज़ का, और उसको हमारे पेटेंट ऑफिस में भेज दीजिए। दूसरा तरीका हो गया। थर्ड है कि आप किसी पेटेंट अटॉर्नी की या फिर किसी पेटेंट एडवोकेट का हेल्प लीजिए, वो आपका एप्लीकेशन पेटेंट ऑफिस में फाइल करते हैं, ठीक है ना। फोर्थ क्या है मेथड कि आप पेटेंट ऑफिस में डायरेक्ट फिजिकली प्रेजेंट हो जाइए और वहां पर आप सबमिट कर सकते हैं। वैसे केस में जब आप फिजिकली सबमिट करते हैं तो आपको 10% का डिस्काउंट नहीं मिलता, ठीक है। तो पेटेंट एप्लीकेशन टोटल 6 तरह के होते हैं। देयर आर 6 टाइप्स ऑफ पेटेंट एप्लीकेशन। फर्स्ट इज द ऑर्डिनरी एप्लीकेशन in which you have to file patent application directly to the patent office India. अब जो मैंने अभी 4 मेथड बताया पेटेंट फाइलिंग का, वो सब के सब ऑर्डिनरी एप्लीकेशन है। कन्वेंशन एप्लीकेशन का मतलब ये होता है कि जब आपने आज इंडिया में फाइल किया है, फॉर एग्जांपल आपने 25 जुलाई 2023 को आपने इंडिया में पेटेंट फाइल किया है और आपका मन है कि नहीं मैं इसको चाइना में भी फाइल करूं और यूएसए में भी फाइल करूं, तो जब आप यूएसए और चाइना में अपने पेटेंट एप्लीकेशन सेम सब्जेक्ट मैटर को फाइल करते हैं तो उस एप्लीकेशन को हम लोग बोलते हैं कन्वेंशनल एप्लीकेशन, ठीक है। कन्वेंशनल एप्लीकेशन के लिए कंडीशन ये है कि आपको जिस दिन आपने इंडिया में फाइल किया था विद इन 12 मंथ्स आपको जिस कंट्री में आप इंटरेस्टेड हैं वहां फाइल कर सकते हैं। अदरवाइज यदि आप ऐसा नहीं कि आप 12 मंथ्स के बाद फाइल नहीं कर सकते, आप फ्री हैं कि आप 12 मंथ्स के बाद भी फाइल कर सकते हैं। पर वैसे केस में क्या होगा कि आपको प्रोटेक्शन जो प्रायोरिटी आपको जो प्रोटेक्शन आपको इंडिया वाली मिलनी थी वो वहां पर प्रायोरिटी नहीं मिलेगी। आज आपने 25 जुलाई को आपने इंडिया में फाइल किया और वहां पर आप 25 अगस्त को फाइल करते हैं अगले साल, तो क्या होगा कि जब वहां की कंट्री जब आपकी नोवेल्टी चेक करेगी तो वो आपकी जो इंडिया वाली एप्लीकेशन थी उसके प्रायोरिटी बन जाएगी। दैट मीन्स कि वही डॉक्यूमेंट जो आपने इंडिया में फाइल किया था वो आपको नोवेल्टी किलिंग डॉक्यूमेंट बन जाएगी और आपका इन्वेंशन रिजेक्ट हो जाएगा। तो ऑर्डिनरी एप्लीकेशन के बाद आपको कन्वेंशनल एप्लीकेशन करना है तो विद इन 12 मंथ्स आप कर सकते हैं। तो ये जो 12 महीने का टाइम है ना, 12 मंथ्स, ये काफी कम होता है क्योंकि इसी 12 मंथ्स में आपको अलग अलग कंट्री के पेटेंट एक्ट को समझना है, वहाँ के अटॉर्नी की हेल्प लेनी है, आपको उनके अकॉर्डिंग ड्राफ्ट करना है और वहाँ पर भेजना है। इस 12 मंथ्स को ओवरकम करने के लिए पीसीटी पेटेंट कॉर्पोरेशन ट्रीटी ने एक डिसाइड किया कि हम एक इंटरनेशनल एप्लीकेशन फाइल करवाते हैं और वहाँ जो कि हमारा वाइपो में फाइल होगा, WIPO वाइपो में फाइल होगा। और वाइपो में जब आप अपने एप्लीकेशन सबसे पहले फाइल करते हैं तो आपके पास 31 मंथ्स होता है। जो 12 मंथ्स पहले था वहाँ पर अब 31 मंथ्स है कि आप अपने एप्लीकेशन को अलग अलग कंट्री में जहाँ जहाँ आप इंटरेस्टेड हैं वहाँ फाइल कर सकते हैं। तो ये जो 31 मंथ्स है काफ़ी ज़्यादा होता है। इस 31 मंथ्स में आप हर कंट्री में फाइल कर सकते हैं। तो यहीं पर लोग कंफ्यूज होते हैं, जो कहते हैं कि हमारा वर्ल्ड पेटेंट है या इंटरनेशनल पेटेंट है। ऐसा कुछ नहीं। वाइपो में क्या है कि वाइपो में सिर्फ आपकी एप्लीकेशन सबमिट होती है, आपने सबमिट कर दिया, वो एक एग्जामिनेशन करते हैं उसका, वो चेक करते हैं कि वाकई में इन्वेंशन आपको नोबेल है कि नहीं, और एक आपको सर्च रिपोर्ट दे देते हैं, ना कि वो आपको ग्रांट देते हैं। उनका काम सिर्फ और सिर्फ एक सर्च रिपोर्ट देना है जब उनके एप्लीकेशन में फाइल करेंगे तो। क्योंकि सबसे पहले मैंने यही बताया था कि पेटेंट हमेशा एक कंट्री या एक नेशन या ग्रुप ऑफ नेशन दे सकते हैं। वाइपो एक नेशन नहीं है, तो वाइपो पेटेंट ग्रांट नहीं कर सकते। वहां पर आपका सिर्फ एग्जामिनेशन होगा। जब आपने पीसीटी में फाइल कर दिया है उसके बाद आप अलग अलग कंट्री में जहां जहां पे इंटरेस्टेड है वहां फाइल करेंगे। उस एप्लीकेशन को हम लोग बोलते हैं पीसीटी NP एप्लीकेशन, दैट मीन्स पीसीटी नेशनल पेज एप्लीकेशन, ठीक है। इसके बाद एक आता है डिविजनल एप्लीकेशन। डिविजनल एप्लीकेशन का मतलब ये हुआ कि जब आप एप्लीकेशन हमारे पेटेंट ऑफिस में फाइल करते हैं, कोई ऑर्डिनरी एप्लीकेशन या एनपी एप्लीकेशन, और उसके बाद पेटेंट ऑफिस आपको ये कहती है कि नहीं, आपकी इन्वेंशन में मोर देन वन इन्वेंशन, दैट मीन्स कि आपने एक से ज्यादा इन्वेंशन उसमें आपको ये लगा कि नहीं ये तो सिंगल इन्वेंशन है। फॉर एग्जांपल आपने एक टेबल और चेयर का जैसे स्कूल में आपने देखा होगा कि बेंच और डेस्क दोनों अटैच्ड होते हैं, बेंच और डेस्क दोनों अटैच होते हैं, और वही आपने पेटेंट फाइलिंग के लिए भेज दिया हमारे कि भाई एक क्लासरूम के लिए हमने बेंच और डेस्क का एक कॉम्बिनेशन बनाया। पेटेंट ऑफिस आपको ये सजेस्ट कर रही है कि देखो बेंच और डेस्क दो इन्वेंशन है, बिकॉज देयर आर टू स्किल्स रिक्वायर्ड, इसमें दो स्किल चाहिए, बेंच बनाने के लिए अलग स्किल चाहिए और डेस्क बनाने के लिए अलग स्किल चाहिए। कोई जरूरी नहीं कि जिसको बेंच बनाने आता है उसको डेस्क बनाने भी आता है, क्योंकि यहाँ पे दो स्किल्स रिक्वायर्ड है, दैट मीन्स कि दो इन्वेंशन है। ठीक है, तो आपको अब पेटेंट ऑफिस ये सजेस्ट करेगी कि आप इसको डिवाइड कर लीजिए, बेंच इसी में रहने दीजिए और डेस्क के लिए अलग से सेपरेट एप्लीकेशन फाइल कर दीजिए। वैसे केस में आपको दो सर्टिफिकेट मिलते हैं, मीन्स के दो ग्रांट सर्टिफिकेट आपको मिलते हैं। पेटेंट ऑफ एडिशन का ऐसा है कि जब आप पेटेंट फाइल कर दिया है और आपको कुछ दिन के बाद ऐसा लगा कि नहीं मैं इसमें इंप्रूवमेंट कर सकता हूँ, और माइनर मॉडिफिकेशन करने के बाद थोड़ा इसमें इंप्रूवमेंट आ जाती है, तो ऐसे केस में आप पेटेंट ऑफ एडिशन फाइल करते हैं। फॉर एग्जाम्पल आपने एक जैसे मैंने बताया कोविड-19 का डिटेक्शन किट बनाया था, उस डिटेक्शन किट में टोटल 8 स्टेप लग रहे थे और आपने पेटेंट फाइल कर दिया। एक साल के बाद आपको ऐसा लगा या 2 साल के बाद आपको ऐसा लगा कि नहीं इसमें से यदि मैं एक स्टेप नंबर 6 को यदि मैं टेम्परेचर चेंज करूं तो दो आगे के 2 स्टेप की जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी और 6 स्टेप में ही वो इन्वेंशन वो डिटेक्शन हो जाए, तो इसे बोलते हैं माइनर मॉडिफिकेशन। मॉडिफिकेशन भी ऐसा नहीं, माइनर मॉडिफिकेशन होना चाहिए और वो मॉडिफिकेशन के बाद आपके इन्वेंशन में जो एग्जिस्टिंग इन्वेंशन है उसमें इंप्रूवमेंट आ जाए, उसको फिर आपको पेटेंट ऑफ एडिशन के थ्रू फाइल करना है। पेटेंट फाइलिंग प्रोसेसिंग, जब आप पेटेंट फाइल करने जाते हैं तो आपके इन्वेंशन के साथ साथ आपको कुछ फॉर्म की जरूरत पड़ती है। फॉर्म 1, 2, 3, 5 ये सारे के सारे फॉर्म गूगल में अवेलेबल है, वहां से आप डाउनलोड करके उसको फिल करके भेज सकते हैं। फॉर्म 1 में कुछ नहीं होता, उसमें बस आपको अपना नेम, एड्रेस, ईमेल आईडी, फोन नंबर, टाइटल ऑफ इन्वेंशन, ये सारी बातें उसमें लिखनी होती है। फॉर्म 2 क्या होता है कि जो आपने लिखा था कंप्लीट स्पेसिफिकेशन, जिसमें कि कंप्लीट रिसर्च आपने जो लिखा था वही फॉर्म 2 है। फॉर्म 3 देना जरूरी इसलिए होता है कि उसमें हम ये लिखते हैं कि क्या वाकई में आपने फॉरेन फाइलिंग भी तो नहीं कर रखी है, यदि कर रखा है तो आप उसमें एप्लीकेशन नंबर डाल दीजिए और वो हमारे ऑफिस में भेज दीजिए। ठीक है, एक यहाँ पर इंपॉर्टेंट चीज मैं बताता हूँ, कई बार जब पेटेंट एप्लीकेशन लोग फाइल करते हैं उसके बाद वो वेट करते हैं कि हमारा ग्रांट लेटर आ जाए या फिर ऑफिस से कोई कम्युनिकेशन आएगा कि हाँ आपने पेटेंट एप्लीकेशन फाइल कर दिया, अब ये डॉक्यूमेंट सबमिट करिए, वो डॉक्यूमेंट सबमिट करिए। ऐसा कुछ नहीं है। पेटेंट एप्लीकेशन जब आप फाइल करते हैं तो सारी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी आपकी है कि आपको टाइम टू टाइम जो उसकी कंप्लायंस सब आपको भेजनी है। फॉर एग्जांपल जब आप पेटेंट फाइल करते हैं इसका मतलब है कि वो सिर्फ और सिर्फ पब्लिकेशन में जाएगा, ना कि वो ग्रांट में जाएगा। ग्रांट में जाने के लिए आपको फॉर्म 18 फाइल करनी है। फॉर्म 18 मीन्स की रिक्वेस्ट फॉर एग्जामिनेशन। जब आप रिक्वेस्ट फॉर एग्जामिनेशन डालेंगे अलॉन्ग विथ फीस, तभी आपकी एप्लीकेशन एग्जामिनेशन में जाएगी और एग्जामिनेशन के बाद वो ग्रांट होगा। अदरवाइज आपका एप्लीकेशन आफ्टर 4 years वो अबंडन हो जाएगा। ठीक है, तो आपको टाइम टू टाइम फॉर्म 18 फाइल करना है। ठीक है, जब आप फॉर्म 18 फाइल कर देते हैं उसके बाद आपको रिलैक्स हो जाएगा, फिर आपको ऑफिस टाइमली जो है आपको फर्स्ट एग्जामिनेशन रिपोर्ट भेजेगी, उसका फिर आप रिप्लाई सबमिट करेंगे, फिर वो आपको हियरिंग नोटिस भेजेगी, आप हियरिंग देंगे, फिर ग्रांट हो जाएगा। ठीक है, आप इसको यहाँ समझिए। सबसे पहले जब आप पेटेंट फाइल करते हैं तो हमारी ऑफिस उसको पब्लिश करती है। पब्लिश कहाँ करती है? हमारा एक ऑफिशियल जर्नल है जो हर फ्राइडे को हम पब्लिश करते हैं, इंडियन पेटेंट जर्नल। ये आपके पेटेंट फाइलिंग के 18 मंथ्स के बाद हम उस जर्नल में पब्लिश करते हैं, जब आप एक्स्ट्रा फीस नहीं देते हैं तब। जब आप एक्स्ट्रा फीस देते हैं तो आपकी एप्लीकेशन हम अर्ली पब्लिश करते हैं, 1 और 2 वीक के अंदर हम उसकी पब्लिकेशन कर देते हैं। पब्लिकेशन के बाद क्या होता है कि वो पब्लिक डोमेन में आ जाता है, एनीबॉडी कैन सी। जब पब्लिक डोमेन में आ जाता है तो एनी पर्सन कैन अपोज योर इन्वेंशन, उसको हम लोग बोलते हैं प्री ग्रांट अपोजिशन, यानी कि अभी ग्रांट हुआ नहीं आपका एप्लीकेशन, उसके पहले ही यदि कोई अपोज करना चाहता है, कुछ ग्राउंड्स उसके हैं, फॉर एग्जांपल कि वो उससे ऐसा लगता है कि नोवेल नहीं है या इन्वेंटिव नहीं है, या जो जिसका पेटेंट है वो जेन्युइन नहीं है, ये फर्जी है, उस बेसिस पर कोई भी फाइल कर सकता है। अपोजिशन। कोई भी का मतलब यहाँ पर कोई भी, जैसे आपका रिसर्च केमिस्ट्री का है पर फिजिक्स वाला भी उसको अपोज कर सकता है, इवन तो कोई एडवोकेट भी कर सकता है, कोई मतलब इलिटरेट पर्सन भी कर सकता है, कोई भी कर सकता है, जिसको उससे कोई लेना देना नहीं है वो भी अपोजिशन फाइल कर सकता है। पब्लिकेशन के बाद जब आप फॉर्म 18 फाइल करते हैं तो एग्जामिनेशन होता है। एग्जामिनेशन के बाद हम आपको एक फर्स्ट एग्जामिनेशन रिपोर्ट भेजते हैं। उस रिपोर्ट में ये होता है कि आपकी जो जो ऑब्जेक्शन, जैसे मैंने बताया कि भाई क्लेम्स नोवेल नहीं है, इन्वेंटिव नहीं है, फीस सफिशिएंट नहीं है, ये 10(4) सेक्शन 10(4) में फॉल कर रहा है, बहुत सारे उसमें ऑब्जेक्शन होते हैं, वो मैंने आपको भेज दिया। विदिन 6 मंथ आपको उसको रिप्लाई करना है। जब आप रिप्लाई करते हैं, हमें सेटिस्फैक्ट्री लगता है रिप्लाई, देन हम उसकी एप्लीकेशन आपकी ग्रांट करते हैं। अदरवाइज रिफ्यूज डायरेक्टली नहीं करते, आपको एक बार हियरिंग अपॉर्चुनिटी देते हैं कि आप उसको अंडर नेशनल जस्टिस कि आप आइए हमारे साथ हियरिंग कीजिए, फेस टू फेस आप इंटरेक्ट कीजिए, अपने इन्वेंशन को समझाइए, फिर हमें लगता है सेटिस्फैक्ट्री है तब हम ग्रांट करते हैं, अदरवाइज फिर हम रिव्यूज करते हैं। ग्रांट के बाद फिर से अपोजिशन आने का चांस होता है, पर ये अपोजिशन विद इन 1 ईयर होता है। डी ग्रांट अपोजिशन जब तक ग्रांट नहीं होता तब तक कोई अपोज कर सकता है, पर पोस्ट ग्रांट अपोजिशन ग्रांट होने के विद इन 1 ईयर। पर यहाँ पर एनीबडी नहीं है, यहाँ पर एनी इंटरेस्टेड पर्सन कैन अपोज द ग्रांटेड पेटेंट। एनी इंटरेस्टेड पर्सन, व्हाट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ इंटरेस्टेड हियर? इंटरेस्टेड मीन्स कि द पर्सन हु इज वर्किंग इन द सेम फील्ड। जैसे एक ड्रग का मैंने पेटेंट दिया है तो एक वैसा इंटरेस्टेड पर्सन जो जो ड्रग बनाती है और उसको उससे रेवेन्यू लॉस हो रहा है, वही इसका अपोजिशन फाइल कर सकता है, कोई भी फाइल नहीं कर सकता। ठीक, यहाँ तक तो हमने देखा कि ये जो फॉर्मल है, फॉर्मल पार्ट हमने देखा है कैसे फाइल करना है। अब हम देखते हैं यहाँ पर टेक्निकल पार्ट। पेटेंट होने के लिए कौन कौन सा क्राइटेरिया है? पेटेंट के लिए 3 क्राइटेरिया। पहला नोवेल्टी, इन्वेंटिव स्टेप एंड इंडस्ट्रियल एप्लीकेबिलिटी। नोवेल्टी मीन्स, मैं 1 by 1 बताता हूँ। नोवेल्टी मीन्स कि एनी प्रोडक्ट और प्रोसेस विच इज नॉट नोन अर्लियर। मीन्स कि जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल आपने एक सिंपल एग्जांपल मैं देता हूँ, आपने एक फैन सीलिंग फैन में आपने एक एलईडी लाइट लगा दी और आप ये कह रहे हो कि हमारा फैन नोवेल है और इसका पेटेंट करा। तो मैंने जब सर्च किया मुझे ऐसा कोई भी फैन नहीं मिला जिसमें कि एलईडी लाइट लगी हो, तो मैं बोलूँगा कि फैन नोवेल, यानी कि फैन विथ एलईडी लाइट इज अ नोवेल इन्वेंशन। ठीक है, मैंने नोवेल बता दिया, क्योंकि नोवेल का मतलब ये होता है कि थोड़ा भी डिफरेंट होगा तो नोवेल हो जाएगा। ठीक है ना, जैसे किसी के पास फैन है, 3 ब्लेड्स का फैन है, उसने 5 ब्लेड उसमें लगा दिए तो भी वो नोवेल होगा। तो वो पेटेंट होगा कि नहीं होगा, ग्रांट होगा नहीं होगा, वो आगे का मैटर है। पर जो 3 क्राइटेरिया था उसमें पहला उसने फुलफिल कर दिया कि उसका इन्वेंशन नोवेल है। सेकेंड, इन्वेंटिव स्टेप। इन्वेंटिव स्टेप में देखिए यहाँ पर मैंने जो लिखा है सेक्शन 21JA में 3 बातें हैं। टेक्निकल एडवांसमेंट, इकोनॉमिक सिग्निफिकेंस that makes the invention not obvious to a person skilled in the art. Technical advancement as compared to the existing knowledge. For example, मैं फैन का एग्जांपल फिर से रिपीट करता हूँ। फैन में एलईडी लाइट लगी हुई है और वो हमारे पास पेटेंट लेने के लिए आया है, तो जब मैंने चेक किया तो वो नोवेल है, प्रोडक्ट नोवेल है। सेकंड, मैं उसका चेक करूंगा कि इन्वेंटिव स्टेप है कि नहीं। इन्वेंटिव स्टेप में 3 बातें हमें चेक करनी है कि टेक्निकल एडवांसमेंट है कि नहीं, तो इसका आंसर है यस। पहले जो एग्जिस्टिंग फैन था उसमें लाइट नहीं थी, जब इसने लाइट वाला पंखा बना दिया तो इससे क्या हुआ कि सेंटर में लाइट मिल रहा है हमें, है ना, 2 सॉकेट की जरूरत नहीं है, 2 वायर कनेक्शन की जरूरत नहीं है, एक सिंगल फैन में ही लाइट का काम चल रहा है। सर्दी के मौसम में वी कैन स्विच ऑफ द फैन एंड ओनली स्विच ऑन द लाइट, तो ये भी उसमें फैसिलिटी है। दूसरा, इकोनॉमिक सिग्निफिकेंस है कि नहीं, यस, इकोनॉमिक सिग्निफिकेंस भी है। और जो थर्ड लाइन है, मेक्स द इन्वेंशन नॉट ऑब्वियस टू ए पर्सन स्किल्ड इन द आर्ट। आप इसका आंसर दीजिए, क्या एक मैकेनिक के लिए, जो एक इलेक्ट्रिक मैकेनिक है, जो इलेक्ट्रिक इंजीनियर है, उसके लिए क्या एक बहुत बड़ा टास्क है कि वो एक फैन के अंदर एक लाइट लगा दे? तो आप बोलेंगे नहीं, ये तो उसके लिए ऑब्वियस टास्क है। उसमें लाइट क्या, उसमें वो एफएम का किट भी लगा सकता है, उसमें एक एलईडी डिस्प्ले भी लगा सकता है, वो कुछ भी लगा सकता है। तो जब इसका आपको आंसर मिला कि नहीं, ये एक स्किल्ड पर्सन के लिए ये ऑब्वियस टास्क है, तब हम क्या बोलेंगे कि ये इन्वेंटिव स्टेप नहीं। मीन्स कि पेटेंट आपका जो फैन विथ एलईडी लाइट नोवेल तो है, पर ये इन्वेंटिव स्टेप नहीं है इसके अंदर, क्योंकि एक स्किल्ड पर्सन के लिए एक ऑब्वियस टास्क है। यदि मैं एक बायोटेक्नोलॉजिस्ट हूँ, मैं ड्रग पे काम करता हूँ और मुझे ऐसा बनाने के लिए दिया जाए तो मुझे काफ़ी हार्ड लगेगा, कोई रॉकेट साइंस है और मुझे ऐसा देख के लगेगा ये तो बहुत बड़ा रिसर्च है कि फैन में उसने लाइट लगा दी। पर एक मैं इलेक्ट्रिक इंजीनियर से बात करूंगा तो बोलेगा नहीं तो ऑब्वियस है। इसीलिए जब हमेशा इन्वेंटिव स्टेप हम कंपेयर चेक करते हैं तो स्किल्ड पर्सन के अकॉर्डिंग करते हैं। यही वजह है कि हमारे पेटेंट ऑफिस में 4 डिवीजन है, इलेक्ट्रिकल, मैकेनिक, केमिकल एंड बायोटेक्नोलॉजी। मैं जब भी चेक करूंगा तो बायोटेक इन्वेंशन ही चेक करूंगा। अब मुझे कोई सेंसर वाली फैन मिल जाए या सेंसर वाली कोई डिवाइस मिल जाए तो मुझे लगे कि रॉकेट साइंस है। सिमिलरली यदि मैकेनिकल इंजीनियर को मैं दे दूं एक ड्रग, एंटी कैंसर ड्रग का पेटेंट चेक करने के लिए, तो उसको तो लगे बहुत बड़ा रिसर्च है, ठीक है ना। तो इन्वेंटिव स्टेप हमेशा हम स्किल्ड पर्सन के अकॉर्डिंग चेक करते हैं। प्रायर आर्ट का मतलब ये होता है कि जब आप पेटेंट फाइल करते हैं और हम उसकी नोवेल्टी चेक करते हैं तो जिस दिन आपने फाइल किया है उसके पहले का हर पब्लिकेशन चेक करते हैं, चाहे वो न्यूज पेपर में हो या रिसर्च पेपर हो या कोई पेटेंट हो या कोई किसी का लेक्चर हो, कहीं पर भी यूट्यूब पर कहीं हर जगह हम चेक करते हैं कि कोई ऐसा सिमिलर प्रोडक्ट या सिमिलर इन्वेंशन है अवेलेबल तो नहीं है। इसलिए मैं आप सबको एक एडवाइस देता हूँ कि जब कभी भी आप पब्लिक डोमेन में कोई अपने प्रोडक्ट का आप डेमोस्ट्रेशन दे रहे हैं, फॉर एग्जांपल आप कहीं कॉलेज के एग्जीबिशन में कोई अपना कोई मशीन बनाई और आप वहाँ पर डेमोस्ट्रेशन दे रहे हैं, कोई वीडियो रिकॉर्डिंग कर ली उसको यूट्यूब पे डाल दिया, तो फिर आप पेटेंट फाइल करने जाएंगे तो वही यूट्यूब का वीडियो आपका प्रायर आर्ट बन जाएगा और ऐसा कहा जाएगा भाई ये तो पब्लिक डोमेन में पहले से ही है। तब आप बोलेंगे कि नहीं सर वो तो हमारा ही था, किसी ने रिकॉर्डिंग कर ली। तो आपको इन सब बातों का ध्यान रखना, ठीक है। केस स्टडी जब हम पेटेंट की बात करते हैं कि पेटेंट हमारा नोवेल हो गया, इन्वेंटिव हो गया, इंडस्ट्रियल एप्लीकेशन भी हो गया, तो तीसरा ये आता है कि क्या सारे पेटेंट जो नोवेल हैं, इन्वेंटिव हैं, वो ग्रांट हो जाएंगे? इसका आंसर है नो। इन दोनों के बाद हम तीसरा चीज चेक करते हैं कि क्या वो सेक्शन 3 में फॉल करता है या नहीं। सेक्शन 3 ये कहता है कि कौन कौन सी इन्वेंशन, वाकई में वो इन्वेंशन तो है, नोवेल भी है, इन्वेंटिव भी है, पर सेक्शन 3 के अकॉर्डिंग वो नॉन पेटेंटेबल। सेक्शन थ्री भी ये कहता है कि वैसे इन्वेंशन जो अगेंस्ट द मोरालिटी हो या हार्मफुल हो ह्यूमन, एनिमल और प्लांट हेल्थ के। फॉर एग्जांपल आपने कोई एक ऐसी डिवाइस बनाई है जो कि गैम्बलिंग की कोई मशीन बनाई है या फिर कोई नकली करेंसी छापने की मशीन बनाई है या फिर आपने एक ऐसी चाबी बनाई है जिससे कि हर लॉक खुल जाता है, तो वैसे, या कोई क्लोनिंग ऑफ ह्यूमंस आपने, मतलब वैसे इन्वेंशन जिससे कि अगेंस्ट द मोरालिटी हो वो हम अलाउ नहीं करते, भले वो इन्वेंशन बहुत अच्छा क्यों ना। सेक्शन 3C ये कहता है कि जब आप कोई लिविंग ऑर्गेनिज्म, लिविंग थिंग्स या नॉन लिविंग थिंग्स जो कि ऑलरेडी नेचर में एग्जिस्ट करता है और आपने उसका पेटेंट लेना है तो हम नहीं देंगे। फॉर एग्जांपल आपने कहीं घूमने गए और वहां से आपने कोई एक नई बैक्टीरिया का या कोई नया फंजाई का, अलगी का स्ट्रेन लेकर आए और आप उसका पेटेंट कराना चाह रहे हो, कह रहे हो ऐसा तो था ही नहीं पहले। या फिर आपको कोई नया मेटल मिल गया, कोई एलिमेंट मिला है और उसका पेटेंट कराना चाह रहे हैं, तो मैं आपसे ये बोलूंगा कि देखो सेक्शन 3C ये कहता है कि जो चीजें पहले से नेचर में एग्जिस्ट करती है और आपने उसका पेटेंट लेना है तो हम उसका पेटेंट नहीं देंगे, बिकॉज ये इन्वेंशन नहीं है, ये डिस्कवरी है। जो पहले से नेचर में था आपने बस उसको डिस्कवर किया। आपने कोई कंपाउंड किसी प्लांट से आइसोलेट किया और कह रहे हो कि ये एंटी कैंसर कंपाउंड है, तो ये प्लांट के अंदर वो कंपाउंड पहले से था तो सही, आपने बस उसको डिस्कवर किया, इसलिए हम उसको अलाउ नहीं करते। सेक्शन 3D ये कहता है कि जब कोई प्रोडक्ट पहले से नोन है और आपने उसमें स्लाइड मॉडिफिकेशन किया है या फिर उसका कोई न्यू यूज बता रहे हैं या कोई न्यू फॉर्म, फॉर एग्जांपल कोई ड्रग जो कि पहले टैबलेट फॉर्म में था अब आप कह रहे हो नहीं स्प्रे फॉर्म में या कोई सिरप फॉर्म में इसका पेटेंट कराना है, तो वो नहीं है, ठीक है। या फिर कोई ड्रग पहले कैंसर के लिए यूज होता था, अब आप कह रहे हो कि नहीं ये HIV के लिए भी यूज हो सकता है, ये क्या होगा, न्यू यूज है। पहले से वो ड्रग था इस पर्टिकुलर डिजीज के लिए, अब आप उसका न्यू यूज बता रहे हो और चाह रहे हो उसका न्यू यूज का पेटेंट हो जाए, तो न्यू यूज का पेटेंट हम नहीं करते, ठीक है। क्योंकि मैंने सबसे पहले बताया था कि पेटेंट हमेशा या तो प्रोडक्ट का होगा या फिर प्रोसेस का होगा, यूज का नहीं होगा। सेक्शन 3 का मतलब ये है कि जब कोई मिक्सचर हो, फॉर एग्जांपल अपने पैरासीटामोल और आइब्रूफेन, दो मेडिसिन अलग अलग अवेलेबल है, एक एंटीबायोटिक है और एक एनाल्जेसिक, दोनों का आपने मिलाकर एक कॉम्बिफ्लैम नाम की टैबलेट बना और आप चाह रहे हो कॉम्बिफ्लैम का मुझे पेटेंट मिल जाए। यहाँ क्या है, यहाँ पर सिंपली 2 + 2 4 है, आपने 500 mg पैरासीटामोल लिया, 250 आइब्रूफेन लिया और 750 आपने कॉम्बिफ्लैम बना दिया। तो ये हम एक्सेप्ट नहीं करते। इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि हम कोई सा भी कॉम्बिनेशन या कोई सा भी कंपोजिशन अलाउ नहीं करते, करते हैं। कब करते हैं? जब 2+2 4 नहीं होना चाहिए, 2+2 मस्ट बी मोर देन 4। दैट मीन्स कि आपने, यदि आप ये कहते कि नहीं आइब्रूफेन और पैरासीटामोल को जब हमने मिक्स किया, तो अब कॉम्बिफ्लैम आप 200 mg ले लोगे तभी वो ठीक हो जाएगा। दैट मीन्स कि जो एफिकेसी है ना, जो A+B का दो मेडिसिन यानी दो कंपाउंड जो है उसके इंडिविजुअल रोल से कहीं ज्यादा उसकी कंबाइंड रोल हो, तो वैसे को हम अलाउ करते हैं। ठीक है, यानी कि दोनों का मिक्सचर बनाने से सिनर्जिस्टिक इफेक्ट होना चाहिए, ना कि एडिशनल इफेक्ट होना चाहिए। जब कोई आप ऑपरेटर्स क्लेम करते हैं, कोई इंस्ट्रूमेंट या कोई मशीन क्लेम करते हैं पेटेंट के लिए, तो उसमें हम बस एक चीज चेक करते हैं कि मशीन को पेटेंट देने के पहले कि जो आपको उसमें जो भी पार्ट्स लगे हैं, फॉर एग्जांपल फैन का एग्जांपल फिर से मैं रिपीट करता हूं, फैन में एलईडी लाइट लगी है, मैं आपसे पूछूं कि मुझे फैन चलाना है और लाइट को ऑफ करना है, आप बोलोगे हाँ हो जाएगा। आपने फैन बंद कर दिया सर्दी का मौसम और सिर्फ लाइट चल रही है, और क्या हुआ अगली बार क्या हुआ कि लाइट खराब हो गया, तो क्या फैन चलेगा? तो हाँ चलेगा। मीन्स कि लाइट के जलने के लिए फैन का कोई रोल नहीं है और फैन के चलने के लिए भी लाइट का कोई रोल नहीं है। तो फिर ये मशीन कहाँ से होगी? एक सिंगल मशीन नहीं है ना, एक असेंबली है, आपने सिर्फ रीअरेंजमेंट कर दिया। मीन्स कि आपने बस असेंबलिंग मतलब क्या होगा, आपने फैन के अंदर लाइट लगा दी। मशीन तब हम अलाउ करते हैं जब एक सिंगल टास्क परफॉर्म करने के लिए, यदि मैं कहता कि नहीं फैन चलाने के लिए लाइट का भी लाना जरूरी है, तब हम बोलते कि नहीं वैसे मशीन को हम अलाउ करें। फॉर एग्जाम्पल आपको मैंने फोटोकॉपी करने वाली मशीन का एग्जाम्पल देता हूँ। फोटोकॉपी करने में क्या होता है कि जब आप, मैं बोलूँ कि देखो उसका प्रिंटर खराब है, बाकी स्कैनर ठीक है और इंक भी ठीक है, तो क्या प्रिंट हो जाएगा? नहीं, क्योंकि उसमें एक पेज का प्रिंट आउट होने के लिए स्कैनर, रोलर, प्रिंटर, इंकजेट सबका सब ठीक होना चाहिए, क्योंकि दे विल वर्क इन ए कोऑर्डिनेटेड मैनर। जब एक सिंगल टास्क परफॉर्म करना है, फॉर एग्जांपल प्रिंट आउट लेना है, तो वैसे केस में उसके हर पार्ट्स एक कोऑर्डिनेटेड वे में इन्वॉल्व हो रहे हैं, किसी एक सिंगल पार्ट को भी खराब होने से वो नहीं चलेगा। वैसे मशीन को हम अलाउ करें। ये डीपी का मैं बताता हूँ। ट्रेडिशनल नॉलेज रिलेटेड इन्वेंशन, जब आप कोई ऐसे इन्वेंशन क्लेम करते हैं जो पहले से हमारे ट्रेडिशन में है, फॉर एग्जांपल आप कोई हर्बल फॉर्मुलेशन, इसमें जो मैंने केस स्टडी लाया, देखिए आप क्लेम, जो क्लेम की बात करते हैं वो क्लेम ऐसा ही होता है, ए नोवेल हर्बल कंपोजिशन कंप्राइजिंग, फिर अगले क्लेम में उसने प्रोसेस फॉर प्रिपरेशन ऑफ नोवेल हर्बल कंपोजिशन बताया है। ठीक है ना, तो इस कंपोजिशन के अंदर क्या है, पाइपरनिग्रम है, जिंजर है और विथेनिया सोमनिफेरा है, इन सबको मिलाकर उसने आर्थराइटिस की मेडिसिन बनाई। जब हमारे पास एक टीकेडीएल सर्च करते हैं, डेटाबेस है टीकेडीएल डेटाबेस, लेकिन फ्रीली अवेलेबल है, आप लोग इसको एक्सेस कर सकते हैं, गूगल में डालिएगा टीकेडीएल आपको मिल जाएगा। वहाँ पर जितने भी हमारे अरबी, यूनानी और जो संस्कृत में जितने भी हैं मेडिसिन, सबको ट्रांसलेट करके उसमें डाला गया है। वहाँ पर ये आप देख सकते हैं कि उसमें क्लियरली लिखा है कि जो पाइपोनिग्राम का या विथेनिया का या फिर जिंजिबर का, वो पेन के लिए इम्पोर्टेंस उसका बताया जा चुका है। यहाँ पर क्या हुआ, सिंपली जो पहले से हमारा ट्रेडिशनल नॉलेज था उसका उसने डुप्लीकेशन। ठीक, अब मैं थोड़ा स्टूडेंट्स के लिए बता दूं, जो स्टूडेंट्स इसमें पार्टिसिपेंट हैं, कि कौन कौन से उनके लिए अपॉर्चुनिटी हैं आईपीआर के फील्ड में। हाँ, पेटेंट ऑफिसर का पोस्ट होता है जो कि ग्रुप ए गस्टेड होता है और इसका एग्जाम यूपीएससी लेती है, इसके लिए बीटेक या फिर एमएससी चाहिए होता है। पेटेंट अटॉर्नी जो कि हमारा खुद का ऑफिस एग्जाम लेती है, इसकी सीजीपीटी में लेती है एग्जाम। इसमें आपको पेटेंट एक्ट 1970 कोई पूरा सिलेबस होता है। और एनी साइंस ग्रेजुएट, इसके लिए कंपलसरी है कि स्टूडेंट मस्ट हैव साइंस और इंजीनियरिंग डिग्री होनी चाहिए उसके पास, बीएससी या फिर बीटेक होना चाहिए। आर्ट्स वाले एलिजिबल नहीं है, कोई इसमें एज लिमिट नहीं है, आप रिटायरमेंट भी कई लोग इसका प्लानिंग करते हैं। और जब आप ये पेटेंट एजेंट या पेटेंट अटॉर्नी का एग्जाम जब क्लियर कर लेते हैं, देन यू कैन फाइल पेटेंट ऑफ इन्वेंटर्स, आप किसी का पेटेंट फाइल कर सकते हैं या किसी लॉ फर्म में काम कर सकते हैं। एक वीमेन साइंटिस्ट स्कीम है जो कि एक्सक्लूसिवली वीमेन के लिए है, टाइफेक इसका एग्जाम लेती है। मिनिमम एज 27 है और मैक्सिमम 45 ईयर्स है। इसमें एमएससी या एमटेक या बीटेक चाहिए होता है। ठीक है, थैंक यू। गौरव सर।
Yes, sir. We are very delightful, sir, for the such an informative talk. You have elaborated each and every minute thing. What should be kept in the mind during the filing of IPR. So, the participant, if you have any query related to any of the type of IPR, then you can unmute yourself and ask your query. Sir has a vast knowledge of IPR.
Sir, may I?
Yes, yes. Please.
Yeah. I have a couple of questions. So, पहला तो ये कि अब जैसे आपने बताया मतलब हम अपना कोई प्रोडक्ट या कुछ भी जैसे इन्वेंशन पेटेंट करवाना हो तो आइडिया भी पेटेंट किया जा सकता है, am I right?
नो, आइडिया का पेटेंट नहीं होता। जैसा कि मैंने आपको बताया था, आइडिया पेटेंट नहीं करते। जब आप कोई आपका मैंने बताया प्रोसेस या प्रोडक्ट,
ओके,
प्रोसेस व्हाट इज पेटेंटेबल इन इंडिया, ओनली इन्वेंशन, नॉट डिस्कवरी, नॉट आइडिया।
ओके,
अब इन्वेंशन क्या होता है? इन्वेंशन या तो प्रोडक्ट होगा या फिर प्रोसेस होगा, ठीक है ना। आपके पास कोई हाइपोथेटिकल आइडिया, जैसे आपके पास आइडिया है कि ऐसा है कि बारिश होती है तो जो क्रॉप्स हैं वो खराब हो जाते हैं, तो ऐसा करते हैं एक बड़ा सा अम्ब्रेला बनाते हैं जिससे कि पूरा अर्थ को हम कवर कर देंगे। तो एक हाइपोथेटिकल आइडिया है।
या
फिर आपने ऐसा इमेजिन किया कि जो ग्रेप का साइज, अंगूर का जो साइज है वो हम वाटरमेलन के साइज का बनाते हैं। तो इस तरह के जो आइडियाज हैं वो आइडियाज पेटेंट नहीं होता। हाँ, जब आपने कोई बना लिया, वाकई में आपने कैसा प्रोडक्ट बनाया है और प्रोडक्ट के साथ साथ आपने डेटा भी हमें दिया है कि हाँ प्रोडक्ट जो एग्जिस्टिंग प्रोडक्ट से बेहतर है, तो वैसे जिसको हम पेटेंट ग्रांट करते हैं।
या और जैसे
आइडिया है, आप उसको प्रोडक्ट में कन्वर्ट करने की कोशिश कीजिए।
या नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन इज दैट जैसे आपने बताया कि एप्लीकेशन को हम आफ्टर वन सबमिशन हम उसको रिवाइज भी कर सकते हैं अगर कुछ न्यू एडिशन किया जाता है।
बिल्कुल।
ओके, तो सो इफ इन दैट प्रोसेस अगर मुझे किसी और इन्वेंटर को या किसी और पर्सन को उसकी एक्सपर्टीज के साथ ऑनबोर्ड लाना पड़े तो वो मतलब एडिशन ऑफ नेम्स एज वेल मतलब कर सकते हैं हम?
आप नेम ऑफ इन्वेंटर या नेम ऑफ एप्लीकेंट दोनों ऐड कर सकते हैं, इवन कि ग्रांट के पहले और ग्रांट के बाद भी। यदि आपको लगता है कि नहीं ग्रांट के बाद, कई बार ऐसा होता है कि लोग ग्रांट के बाद भी करते हैं। फॉर एग्जांपल मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ, पहले क्या था कि पहले यूनिवर्सिटीज का फीस और इंडिविजुअल का फीस अलग अलग था। इंडिविजुअल का फीस पहले 1600 था और यूनिवर्सिटी का 8000 था। तो कई यूनिवर्सिटी ऐसा करती थी अपने पैसे बचाने के लिए, किसी इंडिविजुअल के नाम से पेटेंट ग्रांट करा लेती थी अपने प्रोफेसर के नाम से, बाद में उसको ट्रांसफर करा लेती थी या फिर नाम ऐड करा लेती थी अपना, तो उससे उनके पैसे बचते थे। तो आप इन्वेंटर का नाम या एप्लीकेंट का नाम आप पेटेंट ग्रांट के पहले और बाद में कभी भी आप ऐड कर सकते हैं। एक सिंपल प्रोसेस है, 500-600 रुपया लगता है, उसमें 500 to 600 रुपीज फीस है। आप उसको सबमिट करेंगे फॉर्म्स के साथ, बस 1 से 2 सप्ताह के अंदर आपका नाम उसमें ऐड हो जाएगा।
ओके, और सर वन लास्ट क्वेश्चन की जैसे जो हमने मतलब कब हम किसी प्रोजेक्ट पे या किसी इन्वेंशन पे काम कर रहे हैं और अगर हमें ये जानना है कि ऑलरेडी किसी कोई बंदा इस पे काम कर रहा है या किसी ने एप्लीकेशन सबमिट किया है तो हम मतलब वो जो पेटेंट मैगजीन जो आप बात कर रहे हैं हम वहीं से पता कर सकते हैं? हम कैसे पता चल सकते हैं कि ऑलरेडी इस पे काम हो चुका है, ये कर रहा है कोई?
नहीं, और भी साइट्स हैं वहाँ। तो क्या है कि आप जैसे देखो, वो हर फ्राइडे को पब्लिश होता है। तो आज फॉर एग्जांपल जो लास्ट फ्राइडे को जो पब्लिश हुआ था वो विद इन 1 मंथ जितने भी फाइलिंग हुए थे ना उनके उसमें पब्लिश हुए हैं। पर पुराने पेटेंट के लिए वो आप क्या करोगे, सारे जर्नल ओपन करके तो नहीं पढ़ सकते। और उस
या
जर्नल में सिर्फ इंडियन पेटेंट होता है, बाहर वाले पेटेंट नहीं होते हैं, फॉरेन वाले। तो आपको मैं बता रहा हूँ, इसमें चैट बॉक्स में मैं डालता हूँ कि आप उसको सर्च कैसे कर सकते हैं। मैं इसमें टाइप नहीं कर सकता क्या गौरव सर? इसमें मैं टाइप नहीं कर सकता?
टाइप सर?
अच्छा, मैं इसमें ना जो जिन्होंने अभी पूछा था उनके लिए मैं कुछ इसमें लिख रहा हूँ। जब
नहीं,
आप,
टाइप कर सकते हैं सर।
हाँ मैं
चैट
कर रहा हूँ
में।
टाइप। जब
यस
आपको
सर।
पेटेंट फाइलिंग करनी है उसके पहले बहुत अच्छी बात आपने कही कि पहले सबसे पहले सर्च करने से, अदरवाइज क्या होता है कि आपका पैसा बर्बाद होता है। आपने पेटेंट फाइल कर दिया बिना चेक किया और पता चला कि अरे वो तो पहले से किसी का था और हमारा रिजेक्ट हो गया, तो बदनामी तो होती है, बात साथ साथ पैसे ही बर्बाद होते हैं। तो मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ कहाँ कहाँ आपको सर्च करना है। एक इन पास है, फिर के लिए सबसे जो इजीएस्ट जो डेटाबेस है वो है गूगल पेटेंट। आपने गूगल स्कॉलर यूज किया होगा जिसमें कि आप रिसर्च पेपर सर्च करते हैं, वैसे ही गूगल पेटेंट होता है। आप आज घर जाके आप गूगल पेटेंट डालेंगे और उसमें अपने कीवर्ड्स डालिए, आपको सारे पेटेंट निकल के आ जाएंगे जितने भी वर्ल्ड वाइड पेटेंट फाइल हुए। ठीक है, मैंने ऐसे 4-5 डेटाबेस डाला है उसमें, पर आपके लिए सबसे इजीएस्ट होगा गूगल पेटेंट।
ओके, थैंक यू सर। जिस मैगजीन की आप बात कर रहे हैं, पेटेंट मैगजीन जो हर फ्राइडे आता है, वो फ्रीली एक्सेसिबल है कि?
हाँ, फ्री है, फ्री एक्सेसिबल।
तो वो हम कहाँ से एक्सेस कर सकते हैं?
वो मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ, आईपी इंडिया हमारा जो वेबसाइट है आईपी इंडिया, उस पर आप डालेंगे, वो उसको ओपन करेंगे, उसी में जर्नल वाले सेक्शन में जाएंगे ना, तो आपको जर्नल मिल जाएगा।
ओके, थैंक यू सो मच फॉर दैट इंफॉर्मेटिव सेशन। थैंक यू सो मच।
Okay, any other? Sir, I have two queries. First one, sir, if any institute act as an applicant of our patent, for example, any company or any university or college filing the patent, but we are the inventor. So, what type of rights the inventor have? किस तरह का सर राइट रहेगा इन्वेंटर के पास अगर कोई भी एप्लीकेशन, जैसे मेरा इन्वेंशन था, किसी और कंपनी ने उसको पीसीटी में या पूरे वर्ल्ड में उसने पेटेंट कराया। फॉर एग्जांपल, ही हैज फाइल्ड 26 पेटेंट इन 26 कंट्री, बट आई एम द इन्वेंटर। सो हमारे पास सर क्या राइट्स रहेंगे?
तो सर जैसे आपका उसमें नाम था एज इन्वेंटर?
जी जी,
आपका नाम सर उसमें था एज इन्वेंटर या नहीं?
एज ए इन्वेंटर।
एज इन्वेंटर था आपका नाम उसमें?
जी,
मैं फिर से क्वेश्चन रिपीट करता हूँ कि जब आपका पेटेंट फाइल हुआ 26 कंट्री में, तो
जी,
एप्लीकेशन में आपका नाम था?
उस एप्लीकेशन में आप एज एप्लीकेंट नहीं, एज ए इन्वेंटर मेरा नाम है।
हाँ, तो सर एज ए इन्वेंटर ही तो नाम होना चाहिए। एज ए एप्लीकेंट तब होता है जैसे आप किसी इंडस्ट्री में काम करते हैं, किसी कंपनी में काम करते हैं और वहाँ पर आप एम्प्लॉई हैं, तो वैसे केस में तो आपका इन्वेंटर में ही नाम रहेगा। पर जहाँ जहाँ उसने पेटेंट लिया है और उस पेटेंट के बाद वहाँ पर उसी कमर्शलाइजेशन करता है और पैसे कमाता है, तो उस पैसे पर आपका भी राइट है। वो
अच्छा,
हाँ, यदि आपका वो एम्प्लॉयर है तो अपने एम्प्लॉयर के यहाँ जो आपकी आईपीआर पॉलिसीज है उसको आप पढ़िए, उसमें देखिए कि वो कितना उसका रेशियो उसने डिसाइड कर रखा है, उसके बेसिस पर आपको वो मिलना ही मिलना है। आपके पास राइट है, आप उसको लेके सिविल कोर्ट में या फिर हाई कोर्ट में जा सकते हैं।
तो सर उसमें हम लोग टेक्नोलॉजी ट्रांसफर कर सकते हैं?
बिल्कुल नहीं, आप नहीं कर सकते, आपका एप्लीकेंट कर सकता है।
ओके,
आफ्टर टेकिंग कंसेंट फ्रॉम ऑल ऑफ यू, आपसे कंसेंट लेने के बाद ही वो कर सकता है टेक्नोलॉजी। ऐसा नहीं कि
ओके,
अपने मन से कर देगा, और आपका कंसेंट जरूरी है सर।
ओके,
उसने भले 26 कंट्री में 26 कंट्री में पेटेंट ले लिया है, पर मेरे ख्याल से कहीं पर भी उसने टेक्नोलॉजी ट्रांसफर नहीं की होगी। यदि किया होता तो आपसे कंसेंट जरूर लिया होगा।
ओके। एनी अदर क्वेरी?
No, but I think this session is so informative because we really know about that, what we are doing, so how to protect it. Because protection is more important.
Actually, you can earn the money by your ideas, by your develop after translating into a patent or so there are several inventors that can do the technology transfer to other they can, you can sell your IPR also, है ना? आप अपना IPR को बेच भी सकते हैं और उससे आपके पास तो काफी आइडिया है, तो उस आइडिया पे वर्क करें, प्रोटोटाइप डेवलप करें या और उसको पेटेंट करा करके। सर अगर हम मुझे टेक्नोलॉजी ट्रांसफर करना होगा तो किस स्टेज में कर सकते हैं? आफ्टर फाइलिंग, आफ्टर पब्लिशिंग और आफ्टर ग्रांटिंग?
सर आफ्टर पब्लिकेशन यू कैन गो फॉर टेक्नोलॉजी ट्रांसफर।
ओके, आफ्टर पब्लिकेशन।
जी, क्योंकि पब्लिकेशन के पहले तो आप किसी को बता नहीं सकते ना
जी,
तो इसमें एक चीज सर और इम्पोर्टेंट है कि जब आप पब्लिकेशन के बाद, फॉर एग्जांपल मैंने इसका पेटेंट कराना है और मैंने फाइल कर दिया, पब्लिकेशन भी हो गया, और मैंने किसी रिमोट बनाने वाली कंपनी को दे दिया कि भाई ये मैंने पेटेंट ग्रांट होना है, अंडर प्रोसेस है, अब मैं इसको टेक्नोलॉजी ट्रांसफर कर रहा हूँ, और आपने 5 लाख रुपए में इसको दे दिया, ठीक है। और वो कंपनी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग करके बेचना शुरू भी कर दिया, और ये जो आपका प्रोडक्ट था ना, वो हमारे ऑफिस से रिफ्यूज हो गया, ग्रांट नहीं, वो रिफ्यूज हो गया, ठीक है। रिफ्यूज हो गया तब तो कोई बात नहीं, सारे अब आपके साथ साथ और भी जितने लोग हैं सबके सब प्रोडक्ट को बनाएंगे और बेचेंगे, ठीक है। पेटेंट किसी को नहीं मिलना है। लेकिन प्रॉब्लम तब होती है जब तब आपको कंपनी भी कुछ नहीं बोलेगा, बोलेगा कि भाई चलो आपको ग्रांट ही नहीं हुआ। लेकिन जैसे ग्रांट हुआ, और ग्रांट होने के बाद अपोजिशन फाइल आया, इसमें अपोजिशन फाइल की, फॉर एग्जांपल ये हिटैची का है, वोल्टास वाले ने अपोज किया कि भाई सेम टेक्नोलॉजी हमारे में था, तो फिर क्या हुआ कि हमारी पेटेंट ऑफिस ने आपके पेटेंट को रिवोक कर लिया, वापस ले लिया। वैसे केस में वो जिसको आपने टेक्नोलॉजी ट्रांसफर की थी उसके ऊपर वोल्टास वाले केस करेंगे, इन्फ्रिंजमेंट सूट फाइल करेंगे, और जो उनको लॉस हुआ है आपका ये सामान बेचने से, वो सारा लॉस उनसे वो रिकवर करेंगे। तो फिर वैसे केस में फिर वो कंपनी फिर आपको नहीं छोड़ेगी। तो बेहतर ये होगा कि ग्रांट होने के बाद ही सर इसको टेक्नोलॉजी ट्रांसफर करें। तो ग्रांट होने में सर बहुत ज़्यादा टाइम नहीं लगता। यदि कोई स्टार्टअप है या कोई फीमेल एप्लीकेंट है या फीमेल को एप्लीकेंट है, तो विद इन 6 मंथ हम लोग ग्रांट कर देते हैं।
Okay. So female is getting more advantage for the IPR.
या जैसे अब आप मान लीजिए 4 एप्लीकेंट हैं, चारों जेंट्स हैं, तो उसमें एक लेडीज को डाल दीजिए, जल्दी हो जाएगा, 6 मंथ में हो जाएगा।
Okay.
तो ऐसे करते हैं लोग, अपनी वाइफ का नाम डालते हैं, अपने सिस्टर का नाम डालते हैं, अपने फ्रेंड का नाम डालते हैं। तो
So, and there are sir several consultancy who are working and who are assisting to file the patent. So sir, क्या एक इंडिविजुअल खुद से पेटेंट फाइल कर सकता है?
सर देखिए, जब आपका कोई ओरिजिनल रिसर्च है और उसका आप पेटेंट फाइल कराना चाहते हैं, तो ऐसे केस में आपका पेटेंट अटॉर्नी और पेटेंट एजेंट आपकी हेल्प करता है, आपके इन्वेंशन को ड्राफ्ट करके फाइल करता है। यहाँ तक तो सही है, पर कई सारे ऐसे आजकल एजेंसी हैं, कई सारे ऐसे इंडिविजुअल हैं जो कि आजकल व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप में या सोशल मीडिया पे ऐसे चलते रहता है कि भाई हमने
फर्स्ट ऑथर, सेकंड ऑथर, थर्ड ऑथर।
तो सर वो इलीगल है, एंड वी हैव एनफोर्समेंट डिवीजन एंड वी आर सर्चिंग देम। हम उनको ढूंढ रहे हैं, कोई है तो बताइए हमें फिर। दिस इज इलीगल।
Okay.
I have one more question, may I?
Okay, okay, please.
या सो जैसे अभी आपने बताया कि जैसे अगर मतलब हमने फाइल किया और पेटेंट ऑफिस उसको रिजेक्ट करता है या वो मतलब किसी वजह से पेटेंट ग्रांट नहीं हो पाता और वो प्रोडक्ट फिर मतलब हम उसको रीडेवलप कर सकते हैं, बट इन द मीन टाइम अगर कॉम्पिटिटर आ जाते हैं तो सर उस केस में मतलब हम लोगों का फिर मतलब वो जो प्रूफ ऑफ कॉन्सेप्ट है उसको मतलब हम कैसे बचा के रख सकते हैं ताकि उस पर फर्दर हम ही काम करें, दूसरा ना कर पाए।
देखिए, जो चीजें पेटेंट नहीं हुई, मतलब वो पेटेंट ऑफिस के जो पेटेंट एक्ट के अकॉर्डिंग वो रिजेक्ट हो गया,
Yes, sir.
वो तो पब्लिक डोमेन में आ गया। अब वो कोई भी उसको यूज कर सकता है, कोई भी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग करके कोई भी सेल कर सकता है, तो उस पर आपका कोई पर्सनल राइट नहीं है।
ओके, जो चीज रिजेक्ट हो जाती है वो भी मतलब जर्नल में पब्लिश होती है, अदरवाइज कैसे बाहर आता है?
पब्लिश तो तब भी होती है ना, पब्लिकेशन करने का हमारा पर्पस ये होता है कि ताकि सब लोग उसको देखें, और देखने के बाद जिनको ऐसा लगता है कि नहीं ये हमारा इन्वेंशन था, तो उसके अगेंस्ट वो अपोजिशन फाइल करें। हमारा पब्लिश करने का पर्पस यही होता है, ना कि वो बहुत अच्छा रिसर्च था या बहुत अच्छा पेटेंट था तो हमने पब्लिश कर दिया। हर चीज पब्लिश होता है, जो भी आप फाइल करेंगे, जिसका भी पेटेंट फाइल होगा वो हर एप्लीकेशन पब्लिश होगा, ठीक है।
ओके,
अब आप चाहते
सक्सेसफुल
हो,
और अनसक्सेसफुल
नहीं,
दोनों।
एक बात और ऐड करूँ, अब आप चाहते हो कि नहीं जो मेरा रिजेक्ट हुआ था उसमें मैं फर्दर और रिसर्च करूं या और मॉडिफाई करके फाइल करूं, तो आप उसको रिजेक्ट होने के पहले ही फाइल कर दीजिए, आप पहले ही मॉडिफाई करने के बाद।
ओके ओके, मतलब सक्सेसफुल और रिजेक्टेड एप्लीकेशन दोनों मतलब पब्लिश की जाती
हाँ नहीं, जैसे आपको लगता है कि नहीं अब रिजेक्ट हो ही जाएगा ये, क्योंकि ऑब्जेक्शन फर्स्ट एग्जामिनेशन रिपोर्ट जब आई थी या
है।
हियरिंग
ओके
में पता लगा कि रिजेक्ट हो जाएगा, तो आप उसी बीच में आप उसको थोड़ा मॉडिफाई
ओके
करके आप
ओके
न्यू पेटेंट फाइल कर दीजिए, और पहले वाला रिजेक्ट हो जाएगा तो कोई बात नहीं।
ओके, थैंक यू सो मच, थैंक यू सो मच।
गौरव सर, कम कम बाइंड अप करें आप।
जी सर, एनी अदर क्वेरी? Okay, I think there is no query. So, sir, thank you once again, sir, for the informative talk and for accepting our invitation. So we have our Associate Dean Anamika Pandey ma'am with us. So I would like to invite the Pandey ma'am to kindly felicitate our keynote speaker with e-memento.
Taking this session and am I audible?
Yeah, yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Session was really very informative. In fact, I also learned about this patent and designs because these are one of the key important area for any faculty member and a researcher. And I hope we all will be getting benefited and keep taking guidance from you in future as well. So just on behalf of Galgotea University, we would like to present a memento to you as a appreciation for this session. Thank you so much to join us.
Thank you so much, sir. So our speaker is joining in within 2 minutes. He has some technical glitch. So kindly wait for that.
So I unmuted myself. Thank you. So now I'll put the PPT on the thing, on the screen. Now it's okay? I'm visible and the PPT is also visible. Very good.
Am I audible, sir? Now you can
Start. Okay.
Yes, sir. So, no, sir. Just let me introduce you first. Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for joining with us in this 4-week technology-based entrepreneurship development program. So, dear participant, we have keynote speaker of this session, Mr. M.K. Sateesh, sir. He is an experienced industry professional, having spent over 40 years in the construction and manufacturing sector. He worked as additional general manager, legal and credit control for the MS Lloyd Insulation Private Limited, first in the Delhi and thereafter in the Chennai, looking after legal and credit control operation for entire South India. Post his retirement, he had an eventful tenure with Jindal Aluminium Limited as head of internal audit and legal compliance, heading a team of 10 auditors, taking care of financial audit, tax audit, plant operation audit, beside auditing of group of institutions. He holds 3 master degree, MCom, MBA in finance, MBA, Master in Business Law from the National Law School, Bangalore. Besides this qualification, he is also a qualified independent director from IICA, Ministry of Corporate Affairs, Government of India. So, we are very thankful to you, sir, for accepting our invitation and for the delivering of keynote talk. So, we are grateful to invite you, sir, in this meeting and to share the screen. So over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You're able to hear me? I'm audible
Yes, sir.
now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're audible.
I think after 2 hours of continuous listening, some of the participants may be a bit tired. Maybe for a minute or two, I would say let us do some deep breathing so that everybody becomes alert. Are you all with me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's do it along with me.
Sir, now you can share your screen. There is a button, share screen, green color button.
Yeah.
Up arrow. Just click on it.
I have shared the screen, no? Have I
No,
not?
sir. No, sir. No, sir. You have not shared it. Sir, if you are facing any difficulty, you can send the PPT. I will share on your behalf.
Yeah, now this PPT is coming. Just now you said you are able to see me and the screen is
Sir, you have not shared the screen.
okay. 1 minute.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think now screen sharing will happen. Now you're able to see?
No, sir.
Screen sharing किया ना अभी?
अभी तो नहीं आया, sir.
You're able to see the screen now?
No, sir.
I think it is showing blank.
Sir, you can share the PPT to me. I will share on your behalf.
अभी आ रहा है? नहीं.
नहीं, sir. Sir, यहाँ पे share screen पे जब आप click करेंगे.
हाँ. Share screen के link है. उसी में मैंने अभी click किया ना.
Okay. So you have to select your PPT and click on share.
Now you're able to see?
No, no, sir. Sir, just share me your PPT. I will share on your behalf. Okay, sir.
Okay, I'm sharing the PPT with you for a minute. In a minute.
Okay, sir.
See, I'm not able to see that green button in the bottom. I'm able to see it when I click on my video.
Yes, sir. Now sharing, sir.
Or
Yes.
screen getting shared.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is shared.
Can you show it? Can
No,
you show it?
yes, sir. Just open your PPT, sir. It will be visible to all.
Okay.
Yes,
Now
sir.
it's
Yes,
clear.
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good,
So
sir.
we can proceed,
Perfect.
right?
Yes. Yeah,
Sorry for
perfect, sir.
the technical glitch for a minute.
Okay, sir.
I think now we'll proceed. See, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, basically when we talk of taxation, it is having a very old history, right from the times of Chandragupta Maurya, times of Chanakya and others. Tax has always been there in this country. Now, in our country, the government has been making a sincere and concerted effort to consolidate and try to bring different types of taxation under one sort of regime. So in this connection, our ex-Honorable Finance Minister, Mr. Arun Jaitley, brought in a beautiful legislation, GST. Of course, we already have income tax as part of our regime, which is there right from 1961. So now, without much ado and delay, I think we are already late by 15 minutes. I'll take you through very fast through the slides which I have prepared for all of you. Now, various taxes. I'm going to deal with taxes applicable to MSMEs, and that too domestic MSMEs in India. Now, going on to the screen 2. Now, before we get into the details of taxation, first we need to understand what is an MSME. MSME is a micro, small and medium enterprise. They are businesses that create profit for the enterprise, store goods and commodities. MSME, if you see in our country, this act was actually introduced in the year 2006, and it was passed by the Indian Parliament, and thereafter it has become an act in the country, and it is being followed all over the country. This act was legislated, you can say it was legislated upon basically to cover every small industry under one umbrella. Earlier there were two acts. Both those two acts have got merged now. Earlier there was a Micro Small Industries Act and another regulatory act. Both were merged, and then this MSME got formed. This act now is the act which is governing all the small enterprises in our country. Now, if you see, MSME is a very important and essential sector of the Indian economy, contributing significantly to the growth of the country with a, you can say, a very huge network of approximately 600 million units spread all over India. And the most surprising thing is, if you see, this MSME sector contributes more than 30% to India's GDP, out of which 40% comes from the manufacturing sector and around 45% coming from the manufacturing sector and around 40% from the export sector. We are not going to deal with exports since we are basically talking about MSME for the domestic industry. The remaining contribution comes from small miscellaneous enterprises. As of 2023, that is this financial year, there are more than 13.5 million micro enterprises registered on the Udyam portal of the Indian government. Now, which accounts for almost 96% of the small scale sector. So you can see there has been a rapid growth in the MSME sector, and almost all the states you will find a lot of small scale industries sprouting. Now coming to the next slide, we need to understand the definition of MSME units before we get into the details of taxation. Enterprises are classified as micro, small, and medium based on the concept criteria of investments and turnover. 1 minute, huh? Mr. Gaurav, yeah. Now,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
so enterprises are classified as micro, small, and medium based on the composite criteria of investments and turnover. An enterprise will be classified as micro enterprise based on composite criteria as under. Where there is an investment and plant and machinery or equipment, it does not exceed 1 crore and the turnover does not exceed 5 crores. Such a enterprise will be defined as a micro industry. That is the smallest in the sector. Now coming to the next definition. An enterprise will be classified as medium enterprise based on the following criteria. Where the investment in plant and machinery or equipment does not exceed 50 crores, and then the turnover limit, you can say this is a threshold limit, it does not exceed 250 crores. Such an industry will be defined as medium enterprise. Now coming to small enterprise. Mr. Gaurav, that slide is missing or what?
Yes, sir. Slide is changing, sir. Good, sir. Sir, it will be better if you do in the presentation mode.
Okay.
So some participant has joined with the mobile, so they can visualize.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Now I have given you the definitions of different types of micro, small, and medium sector units on the basis of investment and on the basis of their turnover. Now coming to the taxation part for these small enterprises. When we talk of taxation, there are two categories of taxation. One is direct tax, which basically deals with indirect, they basically deals with income tax that is applicable to all these units besides, you can say all types of corporate bodies like partnership units, like companies, body corporate, private limited companies, etc. The second type of taxation that we deal with is indirect taxation, under which you have goods and service tax, you have customs and excise. So now we are getting into the first aspect, that is direct taxation. Specifically talking about micro enterprises, the tax benefits that are available to this industry sector under the ODM scheme of the central government, you will notice the following benefits are available, whether the particular enterprise is registered or not under the above scheme. They can opt for presumptive taxation regime under section 44AD, 44ADA, and 44AE, falling under chapter 13 of the Income Tax Act 1961, whereby all these small, medium sector enterprises, they can enjoy relaxation from compliances related to, say, maintenance of books of accounts, audit, and they can simply file a simple income tax return in ITR form 4S. Now, the question will arise, what do you mean by presumptive taxation? Basically, I'm giving a very simple definition. Presumptive tax regime relates to the use of appropriate indicators of income, wealth, etc. instead of actual record. That means the tax authorities will calculate the income tax based on certain presumptions. They will have some markers based on which they will calculate. they will not go by the actual records of the tax basis of all the enterprises which they are actually checking. Now, presumptive tax regime, actually it helps all the small businesses by, you can say there will be ease of doing business without complicating the tax structure, without making it mandatory for the small enterprises to maintain a lot of records which need to be audited, which need to be checked, and records being maintained on periodical basis. So this presumptive tax regime has come as a big boon for all the small enterprises in this country. Now, coming on to the next slide, and dealing with the concessional income tax regime for MSME companies without foregoing any exemptions that are available under the Income Tax Act. See, these companies come under Section 115BA of the Income Tax Act, and such companies are eligible for a simple tax rate of 25% instead of the usual 30%. Now the rate of tax of 25% will be applicable if gross receipts or turnover does not exceed INR 400 crores in the previous year. That means, basically what we are trying to say, up to a threshold limit of 400 crores, there is a flat rate of taxation of 25% that is applicable. This also includes the MSME sector. Now, when we talk about tax rates for small businesses, where the income of the business is say up to 2.5 lakhs per annum, the tax is nil. They don't have to pay any tax. Where the income is between 2.5 lakhs to 5 lakhs, the tax rate is 5%. Where the income of the business enterprise is between 5 lakhs to 10 lakhs, the tax slab applicable is 20%. Where the income is above 10 lakhs, earlier it was 30%, now it has come down to a flat 25%. Now all these threshold limits which I am talking about is on the basis of the turnover. Now this above rate of taxes is applicable to all types of companies, that is MSMEs, private limited companies, or a public limited company. You may ask, what about an MSME which is now going to become a public limited company or an IPO? What happens is, once you cross the threshold limit of 400 crores, then the tax applicable to a regular limited company will apply, and you no longer will be treated as an MSME. Now coming to next, yeah.
Sateesh ji, can I ask a question to you?
Yeah, sure, please.
Okay.
Or can we, otherwise, Vivek, can we have the questions at the end? You can put it in the chat box. Let me complete the presentation because the time left is not much.
Fair,
Sir,
no
you can take the time, sir, because this is very wonderful session and we cannot afford due to the time limitation.
Okay.
Sir,
So
all the participants also want to listen.
Yeah, very quick question, Sateesh.
Okay.
What we wanted to understand, if you can just clarify this, you said there is a relaxation available under Section 44AD, AE, and under Chapter 13 of Income Tax Act.
Yeah.
How that relates to, just now you said that if your income is 5 lakh or 10 lakh, income you are saying, not the profit. So how these two relates? Can you just clarify to us?
When you say you're going to calculate the tax on the turnover, right? So now this is the tax rate applicable to small businesses. And when we talk of 25%, I think here this is what you're trying to ask me, whether it is on the gross turnover or whether it is on the profit, right? Just give me a minute.
Yeah, correct. How this links to that, waivers which are available, how these two are, utilized efficiently.
1 minute. Just give me a minute. Huh? I should have prepared that one extra slide for that particular part. I think I missed out.
No problem, Sateesh. You can continue. You have already explained 25% is applicable on gross profit or on the profit on the income. Just
Basically,
that part.
I will read extempore exactly what the Income Tax Act is telling. Companies coming under Section 115BA of the Income Tax Act are eligible for a tax rate of 25% instead of the usual 30%, with a turnover of up to 400 crores as one of the criteria. So here the act is very clear. It is not talking about the profit of the company. The tax is being calculated on the turnover. Up to a turnover of 400 crores, it is going to be 25%. And you are not going to claim any exemptions under the act which may be available. I hope now I am able to clarify.
Very clear. Very clear. Very clear. Please continue. Thank you.
Now, goods and services tax is the next topic I would like to deal with very briefly. Under the goods and service tax regime, I am straight away getting into the GST rates that are applicable to MSME units based on the category under which they come. Where a small unit is manufacturing essential goods, the GST that is applicable is 5%. For common use goods, it is 12%. For standard use goods, it is 18%. For luxury goods, it is 28%. Now I'll get into the details. When we talk of different categories of taxation under the GST regime, this slide is self-explanatory, but still I will read it out for the benefit of all the viewers. There is 0% taxation on items like milk, eggs, education services, skirt, health services, lassi, then children drawing books, unpacked food, jaggery, salt, and other food items. On such items, there is 0% GST applicable. Now, the next category is 5%, slightly costlier items like, say, sugar, tea, edible oils. Then you have this domestic LPG, roasted coffee beans, kerosene, cashew nuts, footwear, food for babies. Even in footwear, if you see, 5% is applicable for footwear which are costing less than 500 rupees. For more than 500, the percentage will increase automatically. Now for apparel, where the cost of the apparel is less than 1,000, then it is only 5%. So whenever you go to a shop and you're buying a shirt or a pant, if the cost is less than 1,000, please check on the GST amount. It will be helpful. And then you talk about fabric, coir mat, matting and floor covering, spices, then incense sticks like agarbatti, sweets, etc. The next category is 18% for slightly costlier goods like you can say hair oil, toothpaste. Now industrial intermediaries. This is where all your industrial components and most of the items in the sector will be probably falling under this category of 18%. Then things like ice cream, pasta, toiletries, cornflakes, etc. Now the last category is 28%. This is a category where we can say luxury items get covered. Luxury items like say small cars. On this, apart from 28%, there will be an additional cess of 1% or 3% depending on the size of the car. I think if it is a sub 4-meter car, the taxation will be less. Where it is a sedan or a 3-box car, the GST will be definitely slightly more. And some of the other thin items like BMWs, cigarettes, and aerated drinks, there will be a 15% cess on this 28%. That means you have to pay over and above 28%, you have to pay 15% cess, which is calculated on the amount, on the basic tax amount. That means you will calculate this amount on the 28% that has been worked out. So the same is the manner for the other category as well. Am I clear? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Very clear. Now, Vivek.
Yeah,
Sir. Yes.
yeah, coming to the next slide. One very important thing which we need to know, how we can avail GST credit. What happens is, when as a MSME, you will be asking, how do I avail credit on my procurement? So now what can be done is, an MSME unit can claim credit for the GST paid on purchases and utilize it against the GST liability on its sales turnover, which it will be reporting at the end of every quarter. Because this is to be done on quarterly basis, the GST returns have to be filed on regular basis. Now, this actually helps in reducing the overall tax burden, and it will also help in improving the cash flow of the SME enterprises. One very important thing to be noted is GST registration is sort of mandatory for all businesses engaged in interstate supplies or e-commerce activities. A question may arise, what is the limit for GST for a small scale unit? The central government, what they have done is, they have increased the threshold limit from 20 lakhs to 40 lakhs by increasing the exemption limit. This will help. This has given a very big relief to all the MSME units. That means, if you notice in our country, most of the small scale units, they come well below the threshold limit of 40 lakhs. So they are exempted from the GST regime. They don't have to get registered under the GST Act. However, it is mandatory for GSTIN registration, that is GST registration for all these medium and small industries who have a turnover of more than 40 lakhs. If you notice, all of you will be knowing, in our country, most of the small units probably do not have a turnover of more than 40 lakhs. So they don't have to worry about the aspect of paying tax to the government. That is one advantage. Say now you take a pawn shop. How are you going to calculate how much the fellow is going to earn throughout the year? It's very difficult. They don't maintain any record. Similarly, you go to a small-time vendor who may be selling vegetables and things like that. It's not possible. So probably one of the reasons why the government has brought in this figure of 40 lakhs is to provide relief to all these small-scale sector units. Now, it can be in any form. You can be a sole proprietor, you can be a partnership firm, you can be a small private limited company doing business, manufacturing very small components, and your turnover may be well within the bracket of 40 lakhs. So that way, this particular figure of 40 lakhs is, I would say, helped a lot of small scale units in the country. But yes, once you cross 40 lakhs threshold limit, it's mandatory for the SME or the MSME to get registered in the Udyam portal of the central government and avail all the benefits that are available. I have not covered interstate tax, central tax, because then the discussion will become very elaborate, and then the tax structure there again, we will have to talk about state GST and central GST and the percentages. Here for medium and small units operating within a state, basically I have been focusing on such units. Now when they are dealing in interstate transactions, obviously if they are going to sell their product to other states, then the interstate GST rates will be applicable. 18% means it could be 9 plus 9%. That is 9% state GST and 8% central GST. I'm not prepared an elaborate slide on that. I thought let me keep the presentation very brief and not complicated. I hope people have understood what all I have explained so far. It's been a very simple presentation. Mr. Gaurav.
Yes, sir.
And Vivek and other participants, I hope you have been able to understand the basic regime that is existing in the present scenario in this country.
Yeah, very much, sir. Very much. Very much.
Now, towards the end of the presentation, I would like to present a case law where an individual has been granted GST exemption. And this case law is the very latest case law in our country. In the month of, I have put it in the slide, in the month of June, July 2023, the Madurai bench of Madras High Court, headed by Honorable Justice Asha, gave a very big relief to 100% visually impaired woman in the GST domain by giving her total exemption from paying motor vehicle tax and GST on purchase of a new car for personal use, which otherwise would have attracted the highest slab rate of 28%. The court actually held a view when you talk about a visually impaired person, they automatically get covered under the category of handicapped person. Obviously, when you talk of visual impairment, the person is handicapped. So they cannot be isolated. The state government was taking a stand, a visually handicapped person is not getting covered under the definition of handicapped person. So the court held a contrary view and they have given directions to the central government to amend the law within 4 weeks of this judgment. Case citation I have given. Karunya Silavati versus Secretary to the Government of Tamil Nadu in writ petition number 12966 and 13043 of 2023. This order was passed on 26th of July. That means by today, the central government should have amended the law, and definitely the court would have ordered compliance of the order, and they will be definitely taking feedback from the government concerned. That's all for the day, gentlemen. Thank you. Any questions you can ask now.
Yes. Dear participant, if you have any query.
I think, Mr. Gaurav, my presentation has been very brief.
Yes, sir.
But I think this has covered most of the things. I have not been, I have not covered interstate GST. I didn't want to complicate the thing. Then that becomes a very full session. We need more elaboration. We need to prepare more tables for that and different types.
Sir, if you want, you can take 15 minutes more.
As of now, I think Mr. Gaurav, itna kafi hai. Simple understanding of the tax regime, GST में क्या आता है और income tax में क्या आता है. I've been able to cover briefly.
Okay. So, sir, Vivek Suman sir has raised his hand. Actually, I think there is any query. Good afternoon, sir.
Hi. No, I think he has answered most of the queries, so I'm happy with his presentation. Thank you. Thank you, Gaurav.
And Vineet, do you have any query?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, I want to ask, like, if any company does not have any revenue or they currently do not do any transaction, so do they also have to file ITRs or do the yearly per annum like GST firms do?
They have not done any business. There is no turnover reported. There is no expense incurred. You have not done business means you can file a nil return.
Okay, sir.
whatever form is applicable to that corporate, they can just go and file the return. It's a normal return. Like for instance, आप घर में अपना family में आप your dad. Alternatively,
Yes, sir.
I'll take my own example. I can file a nil return because my taxable income has not crossed the threshold limit for a senior citizen. I can simply go into the portal and say, these are my expenses and this is my income, which is falling well below the threshold limit. The example which you are given, there is absolutely no income. If you say there is no income, then what is it that you're going to show? Only expenses. है ना?
Yes,
So,
sir. Yes.
ये काम कर सकते हैं when you are showing absolutely no revenue, but you have incurred some expense, you're paying DST on that procurement, and if that particular vendor of yours has not shown his return, it is the responsibility of the buying unit to pay GST to the government. So what happens in such a scenario is, obviously, you have to take cognizance of this aspect and file in your return and claim full refund because there is no revenue on your side. And actually, if you see, as was enacted, like they say, it's a destination tax. That means the final end user, जो end of the chain में जो आता है, is liable to pay tax to the government. Now, what happens is, if supposing आप कुछ purchase कर रहे हैं, say you're purchasing some nuts and bolts from a vendor, और उसने GST invoice raise किया. Now, within that quarter, you have to definitely file your return, and whatever GST you are paid, you are supposed to show it in your annual return, right? Now, you can claim input tax credit for this particular amount if that vendor has filed, and he should give you evidence that he has filed his return out. Then only you will be able to claim your input tax credit. I hope I'm clear on this.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we can also avail the credit on our purchases,
Obviously,
like GST credit.
you have the full right to avail credit on all your purchases on which you are paying GST. The act is user friendly. See, because the responsibility, now what happens is when you are procuring some raw materials for your product, now for your product which you are going to manufacture or you are going to provide a service, in that this is going as an input. So when you are doing the sale, you have to pay GST to the government. So at that point of time, while filing the return, you can take this input tax credit. Now, where there is a nil income tax, nil GST payable by you, whatever expense you are incurred, you can show it in your return and claim full exemption.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
So I think Anuj want to ask something, sir. Yes,
Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Am I audible?
Yes, yes, you are
Yeah.
audible.
Thank you for the session, and I just want to know that is there any special concession for startups or the early businesses?
So I think it's
Any
quite.
special concession with respect to taxation and all?
Hello.
Anuj, please repeat your question. Your network is poor, so please repeat your question.
Am I audible now?
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to know, is there any special concession for the startups or early businesses in the early stages of the business? So is there any special concession given to the businesses?
What happens is, in the case of a startup, now I think Mr. Vivek will be able to throw more light on this. In the case of a startup, you do not have any money probably, or you are putting very little money into your business. And say at the end of the first year, you're not showing any sale. Your product is still under development. So, जो भी आपने expense incur किया, you can note down those expenses incurred by you as an input by way of paying GST. The thing is, when you are not shown any turnover as a startup in the first year, हो सकता है कि 1 साल 2 साल भी लग जाए product development में. In that case, what is the turnover you are going to report? Nothing, right? So startup के लिए कोई specifically there is no separate enactment, but relief is provided under the act, so you can avail the benefits that are available to a startup, because a startup also will come under the category of a small and medium enterprise. Supposing you are starting with a seed capital of say 4 crore, आप प्रोडक्ट अभी डेवलप करते जा रहे हो, 1 साल में डेवलप नहीं हुआ, अभी आपका इन्वेस्टमेंट 4 करोड़ हो गया या 5 करोड़ हो गया, लेकिन आपने कोई सेल नहीं किया, कोई प्रोडक्ट डेवलप भी नहीं किया, प्रोडक्ट को आपने शायद पेटेंट भी नहीं करा पाया अभी तक. Am I right? Mr. Gaurav, please.
Yes, sir.
प्रोडक्ट को मार्केट में भी नहीं लाए. So what happens for such a startup? The relief is only this much. You are still not covered. You are not showing any return or anything. So it is nil income tax, nil GST payable to the government. As simple as that. Mr. Vivek, I think you can throw more light on this.
Okay, but if we are not showing any sales or the product is not in the market, so it may be considered as you can say, against the taxation laws and also. I just want to say know that.
बॉस ऐसा है, जब आपने कोई सेल ही नहीं दिखाया, जब आपका बिजनेस टेक ऑफ ही नहीं हुआ, तो where is the tax liability coming into the picture?
Yeah, but how one can decide that about this the sales and all? Is it any examiner for that?
Simple example, आपने startup शुरू किया. Now, what is the product you want to deal with? What is it that you want to manufacture as a startup? Or what is the service that you want to provide? And see, the complete chain has to get completed now. अभी आप product develop कर रहे हो. You're going to procure material for that. After developing the product, you're going to test the product. Testing करने के बाद, you will probably start a sample sale in the local market. Then उसके बाद, based on your turnover, now there is an exemption limit, like I said, 40 lakhs तक आपको कोई GST में register करने की जरूरत ही नहीं है. When you are not going to get registered, where is the question of paying any tax? I hope you understood.
Okay, now I got the point. Yeah, okay, now I got the point. Thank you so much.
I think Nishant Arora sir has raised his hand.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Good evening, Sateesh ji. Thanks for a wonderful presentation. This was really useful to, I guess, everybody on the call. And in fact, I was going to ask a similar question on startups itself, but I guess the gentleman before me actually, asked the question. So thanks for addressing that, and thanks for this wonderful presentation.
Thank you, Nishant. Basically, the funda is very clear. GST is a destination tax. Income tax is also levied on the turnover of an enterprise.
Right.
Now, when we talk of a startup, अभी आपने शुरू किया है, you have only invested money in the enterprise.
Right.
Now, the product development may take 6 months, it may take 1 year, it may take 2 years, and then testing the product, getting the approval, patenting the product, and under the IPR regime, जो भी करना आपको सब कुछ registration खत्म करके सब कुछ करने के बाद आपको लाइसेंस करने के बाद ही आप सेल्स शुरू करेंगे ना?
That's right.
So till then, there is no question of any liability or paying any tax. It's very clear. For a startup, I mean, to kick off and get into a phase where they are able to run the business on day-to-day basis, and where they are having enough working capital and having monthly sales, quarterly sales, then only the question of income tax, GST, and all these things come into the picture. right?
Right. I mean, a startup actually has two phases. One is the technical phase where they're developing the product. The second phase probably is, where they're testing the business model, how they are pricing it, how much is going to be the benefit, revenue and all that. So
Even-
I guess in the long term, what the taxation is going to be based on revenues, and
Yeah.
based on that, the product pricing can be defined. So
Yeah.
that clarifies.
No, so gee, that is a different aspect altogether.
Mhm.
As long as the product is under development
Yes.
and you are not shown any stage, the question of any liability under either the direct tax regime or the indirect tax regime does not arise.
Right.
It is simple. आपने अभी कुछ किया ही नहीं है, आपने जो भी किया है अभी प्रोसेस चल ही रहा है. तो जब प्रोसेस चल रहा है तो there is a question of tax compliances coming into the picture. अभी आपका कंपनी तो पोर्टल में रजिस्टर नहीं हुआ, इनकम टैक्स एक्ट में आपने रजिस्टर नहीं हुआ, तो क्वेश्चन ऑफ पेइंग टैक्स जस्ट डज नॉट अराइज.
Right. So filing taxes is important. It can be a nil tax. And I
Yeah.
guess that is going to answer question not just for me, but all the students in the session today. So thanks so much, sir. Appreciate it.
One thing I want to tell, as a startup, if you have got registered, you need to say that you're getting registered. For that, I told you that there is an exemption limit up to 40 lakhs.
Right.
तो आपका प्रोडक्ट जब आएगा मार्केट में, जब आप सेल्स दिखाएंगे, टर्नओवर दिखाएंगे, then only you are going to get registered in the DST portal. 40 लाख तक एग्जम्पशन है, तो फिर कुछ बनता नहीं है ना, कोई तुक्की नहीं है इसमें. उसके बाद ही स्टार्ट होता है. आप उद्यान पोर्टल में जाके रजिस्टर होएंगे सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट वाले पोर्टल में एज ए स्मॉल यूनिट or a micro unit or a medium enterprise based on your investment. Like I said now, for a micro it is 6 crores and turnover 5 crores.
Right.
For a small unit, the figure changes. Let me get back into that slide. I'll tell you.
So I think Dipesh Chakravarti has any query?
Yes, I have a query.
Let me complete answer for the previous.
Okay.
They were talking about micro. So I'm just getting back into the definition. When we talk of an investment limit of 1 crore, the turnover limit is 5 crore to be treated as a micro enterprise. Most startups will come under this category. Nishant, I hope I'm clear. Because
Yes, sir.
Investing anything in plant and machinery initially, 1 crore tak to investment limit hai.
Right.
Then turnover does not exceed 5 crore. So in the initial year business, investment will be there, but no turnover, right?
Right.
So it comes to the category of micro. But
Right.
supposing an enterprise, say it is a manufacturing enterprise, planning to manufacture some product or do some service, where the investment in plant and machinery is say 10 crore. मतलब आपको कोई ऐसा बड़ा प्रोडक्ट बनाना है जिसमें आपका प्लांट में इन्वेस्टमेंट ज्यादा लगता है, 10 crore. In such a category, the condition is the turnover should be maximum 50 crore. Then that becomes a small enterprise. Where the net turnover does not exceed 50 crore, you are still treated as a small enterprise.
Right.
Now, coming to medium enterprises, under this category, you will find a good majority of the Indian corporate sector, probably a good many private limited companies, even quite a few public limited companies will come under this category of medium enterprises. Here, investment limit in plant and machinery or equipment, it does not exceed 50 crore. And the turnover does not exceed 250 crore. This is the definition for a medium enterprise.
Right.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I think based on this, you can decide as a startup where do you stand. Probably you will come under the first category as a micro enterprise.
That's right, sir.
Okay. Yeah, Mr.
Dipesh. Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Okay. Thanks, Sateesh, for the wonderful presentation. My one small clarification, what I need, that is in a startup, when they are not in the development stage of the product, they are not selling, but they are purchasing raw materials, etc., and then they are giving the GST for purchasing raw materials and or any other services. So that credit is never available for that GST which I have paid. Maybe after 2 years when I am selling the product and registered for GST number, that so GST registration is required at the initial stage or after I started selling of my product or service is required. Maybe I have not reached 40 lakhs. Maybe I have reached to say 20 lakhs or 30 lakhs or even 10 lakhs. So GSTIN registration is not required. But in the same time, I am not getting the credit of GST which I paid for purchasing the raw material, etc.
This is a problem that needs to be addressed by the government. I mean, as of now, even to the best of my knowledge, what a person has to do, what a small entrepreneur has to do is accumulate all these receipts wherein they have procured and say for a block of couple of years or 3 years, actually when the actual sales happens and when they repeat, when they submit their return, GST return, at that time, they can definitely avail tax input and get the credit for the tax that they have suffered for doing that sale. That definitely will be considered by the GST authority.
Okay, thank you.
The thing is, when you are incurring the actual expense in that year, you may not be paid. Because there is no destination tax being paid by you. Since you are not sale, there is no way you can claim credit. The thing is, GST regime, this aspect also they need to clarify whether a small entrepreneur can claim exemption for all the input taxes that he has paid to the vendors when there is a new return. What to do? I think this is a question which needs to be pondered, and I will also try to get some details from the industry. From the commissioner's office. I will also speak to the assistant commissioner in Hyderabad. He is actually with GST day in and day out. I'll check with ask him what is the government planning to do on an issue like this. You are very rightly said. It's difficult for small enterprises who are incurring expense but are unable to claim any tax benefit.
Another thing is that like small sweet shops, they are charging 5% GST, but I think they only have to pay a certain fixed amount, which is maybe less than 40 lakhs turnover in a year. The sweet shops are charging here in Calcutta 5% GST. They are collecting from the consumers, but are they paying?
They are not paying.
Are they bound to pay?
They are not paying. Probably half of them are evading tax. क्योंकि वो होंगे उसका अगर annual turnover 40 लाख से कम है, they will not be registered under the GST Act. Another thing is if they are charging GST, they should show GST number as a
no, they have GST number, but they are filing nil GST.
Well, then in that case, what is happening?
There is a lacuna in this area. There is a gray area in the sweet shops, particularly in the sweet shops, because their raw materials like this milk and all these things are not GST covered. Chena is not GST covered. They are purchasing this only the oils and edible oils and some chemicals, whatever they are small percentage using, that are GST they have to pay. when purchasing this material. But the basic raw materials, when they are purchasing, they are not paying GST, but they are allowed to tax a 5% GST on the consumers. So this is also a gray area, what I personally find.
Here, it is a gray area, no doubt, but for the tax calculation purposes, what the GST regime says, up to a threshold limit of 40 lakhs, you are totally exempted from the GST Act itself, GST domain. You don't have to get registered. That means आप पैसा जितना कमा रहे हो, you are enjoying it fully. But once you say they have GST registration number, they have to file return. No, is it not mandatory?
Yeah, they have to file returns. So actually, I have to understand their modus operandi also, how they are managing. Then I'll also get back to you how they are doing these things.
See, it's very simple, Panda boss.
Yeah.
Where a person is charging, he is a small enterprise, right?
Yeah,
He's a small entrepreneur. A sweet shop owner is a small entrepreneur. Now, if he is charging GST in his bill and he is also registered, so what happens is under the Act, he has to maintain a record of all the transactions that he has made in the year. If he has filed nil return, then he has to convince the tax authorities on what basis he has filed nil return. They will definitely question him. If he see, once he is getting registered, he will say he's a sweet shop owner and he is charging GST. तो वो पूछेंगे आपने जीएसटी पे किया है तो आप क्यों नहीं ले रहे हो, आप कितना सेल्स कर रहे हो?
वही, that is the point.
Now if they show very less sales and they say exempted from tax, then what happens? They cannot avail any exemption. Simple.
Exemption they cannot avail. That is the thing.
They just cannot avail now. Exemption बता रहा तो फिर कैसे exemption claim करेगा? I think this question is getting repeated for the third time. Gaurav ji.
Oh, sorry. Then I missed it. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. No, sir. Very greatly interactive session is going on, so I will not disturb. Yes, I think Pankaj since have any query.
Yeah. Actually, Gaurav ji.
Yes, sir.
Act जो है ना, even now the GST Council is having regular sittings and they are actually trying to help, especially the small scale sectors, to overcome their problems of whatever they are facing in the GST regime. So there will be more, definitely more changes forthcoming in the next year, hopefully. क्योंकि रेगुलरली कुछ ना कुछ ये अपडेशन होता ही रहता है जीएसटी में, कुछ एडिशन होता है, कुछ डिलीशन होता है, कहीं पे किसी प्रोडक्ट में परसेंटेज ज्यादा डाला है तो दे में ब्रिंग इट डाउन. व्हाट हैपेंस इज इन सच केसेस लाइक व्हाट आवर फ्रेंड हैज मेंशन, एसोसिएशन फॉर्म करते हैं एंड दे मेक अ रिप्रेजेंटेशन टू द गवर्नमेंट कि these are the problems being faced by this industry, so try to help us out, something like that. So this is what can be done where an enactment is still evolving. अभी GST आए हुए कितने साल हुआ है? Hardly 5-6 years, right?
Yes, yes.
Any other questions, sir?
Yeah. Good afternoon, Sateesh ji. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon. May I know your name?
My name is Pankaj Singh. And I am from construction field. I want a small question clearance that cement is 28% and ready mix concrete made by cement only, that is finished product, that is 18%. Why it is, sir?
No, this is a mistake which the council has to definitely look into and bring both under the same category. Because raw material used, you need to see, one is cement, raw material. Now cement mix जो है उसमें और भी 2-3 चीज मिक्स होके वो एंड प्रोडक्ट आता है, तो उस इनपुट में व्हाट इज द रेट ऑफ टैक्स यू नीड टू सी. बट दिस डेफिनेटली लुक्स लाइक ए aberration and they need to probably reduce the GST component on this basic raw material, that is cement. क्योंकि जब आप दूसरी end product में कम tax लगा रहे हो, तो raw material में भी उतना ही होना चाहिए या उससे कम ही होना चाहिए.
Correct, correct. Yeah.
So this is something you can shoot a direct letter to the government.
So as per you, it should be 28% or less than that, sir? As per you, your assumption.
No, Mr. Gaurav, the end product is attracting only 18%.
Okay.
Right? So after raw material जो उसके अंदर जो जा रहा है, surely that raw material cannot be classified as under the higher category.
Correct.
They cannot be classified. Maybe it may be at par.
Okay.
हो सकता है, but ये नहीं कि आप इनपुट में एक आइटम में 28% लगा रहे हो और आपके एंड प्रोडक्ट में 18 लगा रहे हो. This is an anomaly which needs to be set right.
Oh, correct. Okay. Clear, sir. Clear.
Any other question?
I think there is no query. Nishan sir, do you want to ask anything?
Sorry, but thanks for all the clarifications, and ultimately what is there is that we need self-awareness and self-aware about paying our taxes and all that, because even after this GST and all, tax evasion is there, and the people are just looking into ways to get rid of these kind of taxes so that how they can manipulate the things in them. So, but after listening to your lecture, it's great to know that we have to pay taxes so that our business will not get any hindrance, or we can say legal obligations in lieu of taxes.
I got your point. What I would like to say is it's a question of the mindset, the basic psyche of an Indian, whether it is in Delhi or Bombay or Calcutta or Chennai or Bhopal. The basic mindset is how to save more money and how to avoid tax. Let me tell you one thing. Avoiding tax is not a crime. You get my point? Avoiding tax. But evading tax is a crime. Now, you are supposed to pay tax, but you are evading. Then that's a crime. But if you want to avoid tax by taking all these exemptions, by looking into the loopholes and seeing where you can get some benefit out of the system, you're only trying to avoid paying more taxes.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong in that. Nothing wrong. Absolutely nothing. I just give an example. I take, say, a senior citizen. I'm sure many of you, at least some of them, or I can take my example. Supposing I'm on the threshold of 5 lakh tax exemption, और income अगर 50,000 ज़्यादा है, that means 5.5 lakh, 50,000 में tax liability आ जाता है. Now, if I claim exemption under the scheme, I can bring that 50,000 under the exemptions which are available. Different exemptions are there in the income tax act, like section 80C. आप किसी charitable institution को donate कर रहे हो, or you are investing in shares and script that comes under a different section, 80CC. Then say 80C में और आते हैं, like आप कोई insurance policy ले रहे हो. Supposing you are not claimed that exemption earlier, you can claim now. Under section 80C, what happens is you can claim exemption up to a figure of 1.5 lakh. Right?
Samar?
You also have standard deduction. 50,000 standard deduction available होता है. So you can easily come below the tax figure of above 5 lakh, and you are avoiding tax. That is perfect. It's allowed, and you can do it, and it is for your own benefit only. Now, to avoid tax, you're increasing your savings. Now, when you take an insurance policy, what happens? You're insuring your life against it. So, the risk of losing life or the risk of meeting with an accident without an insurance policy is much greater than the risk of taking a policy. यहाँ पे आपने policy लिया, it is an investment for you. It is safeguarding you, right? That expense you can show in your income tax return and avoid paying tax. And in the process, भगवान ना करे, गलती से कोई accident हो गया, hospitalized हो गया, so under the policy you can claim full cashless transaction हो जाता है, hospital में जो खर्चा हुआ वो पूरा आप claim कर सकते हो. I hope you understood the sequence, what I'm trying to explain. Here it is a case of avoiding paying tax.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's all about the game of self-conscious and self-awareness.
Yeah, see, avoiding is not a crime at all. कोई भी इंसान आप देखेंगे, खर्चा कम ही दिखेगा, ज्यादा खर्चा करने की नहीं कोशिश करेगा, अपना जेब में पैसा ज्यादा देखना चाहता है. That is the psyche of every human being individual. Nothing wrong in it. As long as you are respecting the laws of the country, as long as you are actually paying taxes dutifully and diligently and honestly, nobody will touch you.
Thank you for this wonderful session. Thank you, and thank you, Gaurav sir, for providing an opportunity to ask questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for accepting our invitation and conducting the informative, interactive, and a wonderful session. So kindly accept the gratitude of from the Galgotia University as a guest of honor. So on behalf of organizing committee, we are very thankful to you, sir, for to spare a few minutes from your busy schedule. So thank you so much, sir.
You're welcome, Mr. Gaurav.
Sateesh ji, very nice. We had a very wonderful presentation on this. Very good, educative also. Really, we invite it. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir. You're welcome.
Thank you once again, sir.
Sure.
Sir, in the upcoming faculty development program, we have invited you and we have scheduled 2 sessions that will be very fruitful for the faculty members who really want to start their startup journey and become as a successful entrepreneur. So thank you, sir. Thank you, dear participant, for joining, for doing the interaction with our keynote speakers. So today we are about to end the session. So if you have any query, so you can ask to Sateesh sir. Okay, thank you.
I can try. There a little bit of researching has to be done, especially gray areas, as pointed out by a couple of the participants. I can definitely do a little bit of researching and then answer that queries also through mail. It's not an issue. I can spare some time. My mail ID you can share in the chat box. I'll just try to put it across. I'm not able to see the chat box, Gaurav.
Sir, I will share, sir.
You have my mail ID,
yes,
right?
Participant have a separate group, WhatsApp group. So I will, if someone is requested, I will share.
Okay, done.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, nice, Gaurav ji. You have arranged such a nice program, and added to this also you are doing. We invite, and further also such program should come up. So
thank
nice.
Thank you so much, sir, for the kind words and blessing.
Yeah, thank you. Good.
We are fortunate, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Nice.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thanks, Gaurav ji. Thanks to Galgotia. Like we have attended a few sessions, and thanks so much to Sateesh Mopuri sir. Like he's been a guiding light. Really.